Hello, hello.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, how does the background look?
I think it looks dope.
Okay, so it didn't cut off anywhere?
No?
Okay. Because I've had that problem before, the new backgrounds that I've made, like they'll cut off at the top and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, Welcome everybody. It's that time, Sunday night, when we gather around the what are we gonna call this guy?
I don't know. He looks like some kind of I don't know. I want to say goblin, but I'm not too sure.
I guess we
Oh,
could still say
troll
we
is what I was
yeah.
looking for.
Oh, I know. We gather around the holler goblin, you all, and we tell ghost stories. We'll call him a
Yeah.
holler goblin because I myself am a holler goblin, so I know a little bit about it.
Yeah.
But welcome, everybody. I'm so glad to have you all here. Everybody tap the screen, send some likes. That'll get some people in here to tell some spooky stories. Um, let's see. Exciting news, everybody. You'll notice on the screen up here, we have, I think you can read it pretty well, hopefully. We have a subscriber only Discord. So if you guys are interested in hanging out in the Discord, you're going to want to join because it is so fun. We've been doing like little mini live streams in there where we all kind of get together in the live chat and like the video chat, audio chat, and we
Yeah.
just like have ghost story time, and it's so awesome. Also, we have like a ton of like channels and stuff. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, and you will get instant access to the Discord. I'm going to have to repeat that a bunch tonight. This is going to be a difficult stream. Um,
Yeah.
but it's definitely fun. And also the tarot readings that I always wanted to do but could never really figure out where to put them. We're gonna do them over in the Discord. So if you like tarot readings and like divination and stuff like that, that's where you want to be. So everybody, tap screen, send some hearts, please. Chris, how you doing?
Oh, I'm good. I'm just ready for some stories.
Yeah, me too. All right, guys, guest box is open. We want to hear your spookiest spooky story, the spookiest one that you've ever experienced. It can be about the paranormal, extraterrestrial, cryptid, unexplained, glitch of the matrix, or just creepy in general. Doesn't even have to be paranormal. Yeah, hey Cecil and Tully, I see. Who else is here? Holly, I think Holly's here.
Yeah.
Yes, if you are a subscriber, you do have access to the Discord. I am not sure what that looks like on your end, but you should be able to get into the Discord if you're already subscribed. So, and you guys, you definitely want to be there. It is so fun. We post like all kinds of crazy stuff that we can't talk about here.
It gets
So,
wild.
yeah, it is wild and crazy
It gets
and lots of fun.
X-rated.
It does not, actually.
Well,
But
sometimes.
all right, guys, we are excited about this, so definitely hop on the opportunity. And we do have a person. I'm going to go ahead and drop you because you requested pretty much immediately. If you whoever that person is, if you do have a paranormal story you want to share, feel free to come back at the chat or into the box. But usually if they're too fast, that means they're trolls. So just in case, I'm going to drop you. But you can come back if you do have a story. So, uh, wow, I've been talking for like 6 minutes straight.
Take a breath, Sarah.
I need to. God, I need to. I may have a coughing fit tonight because of the pollen. Like, oh my God, it's allergy season and it is just it's too much. It's too much for me. All right,
Yeah.
so this person did come back, so let's see what they've got for us.
Thank you for bringing me up. I promise you, I'm not a troll.
All righty.
This is my thing. I love all this paranormal type stuff, and I have my own stories. And there may even be somebody on this live that's heard my story before because I have one that sticks out in my memory, and it still baffles me, scares me, does all kind of things to me to this day. At my age, I'm almost 50, and this happened when I was like 8, and it's still just like I've never forgotten it. It just made, I don't know, it did something to me. So, when I was a little girl, I shared a room with my little sister. We had bunk beds. I slept on the top bunk because, I'm older, so that's what I got. And my mother was a churchgoer, and she raised us to be in church, and we were raised Pentecostal. And, we would walk to church. She would make us walk to church on Sundays if the car wasn't working. Like, we had to go. And I'm not messed up with that. I learned a lot of things. And but I remember one night that I was in my bed on the top bunk, and I was sleeping, And then, sometimes you dream and you feel like you're awake in that dream. But this was different. It was like I was asleep and I woke up. I wasn't in a dream. I was actually awake. And I just opened my eyes and woke up, and I looked up in the ceiling, and there was this like shadow. And the only thing I can describe it as, still to this day, is like, it was too big to be a bat. So I go with like a gargoyle type thing, but there was no really like real definition like in anything. You could just see it was massive and it had wings. That's all you could see, like there was no like fine details in it. And I was sitting there watching it, and it was just like up above my bed, on the ceiling, just flapping. We didn't communicate, didn't say anything to me, but I just got that eerie feeling, like like, okay, well, this ain't right. So I just remember, saying something like, "Oh Jesus," or "Oh my God," or you can't be here, or something like that, And I remember getting down, crawling down off the top bunk, and I followed it through the house and out the front door, and kind of watched it fly away. And that, to me, to this day, is so freaking creepy. Like, I've had instances where I felt like I've been being watched, and I can't see what's watching me, and they've put me in full panic mode, but like full-fledged panic mode, like. But this was something that I saw. And I told my mother about the next day, and I was like, "Mama, I seen this," and of course she just said, "It's the devil." And still to this day, I don't know, was it the devil? Maybe it was the devil. I don't know. But I know that just etched itself in my memory. And from the age of 8 to now, I remember it like it happened yesterday. I'll never forget that.
Yeah, for sure. It kind of sounds a little like Mothman. That's what I was kind of thinking as you were telling us about it.
I watched Mothman, and I probably, you probably could like kind of like, but it wasn't that. It was just like, it was like a. When I said I called it a gargoyle, because it was like a bat type wing, but it was too big to be a bat. So that's why I use the term gargoyle, because they're bigger. Mm-hmm. So I use that term, but it wasn't a moth. I understand what you're talking about. I've watched that movie. I've been trying to make sense of what I've seen since I was 8, and the only thing I can say is I'm thankful that I haven't seen it again, because it just left an eerie feeling, and it wasn't a good feeling. It just was not a good feeling. So it's nothing that I want to participate in again, even if it's just to find answers. I don't want nothing to do with it. It was so eerie and icky.
Were
Yeah,
you
yeah, for sure.
experiencing? I'm
I'm
sorry.
sorry?
Were you experiencing sleep paralysis when this happened?
No, I've never experienced that. I've heard about it, but I never have. No, it's just kind of like what happened is the only thing that I can fathom is, I was asleep. I woke up and I seen this thing above me, and I was awake. And
Huh.
some people may tell me that I wasn't awake and that I was sleeping and that was a dream, but I know I was awake. Uh, I mean, I just feel like I was awake. I know I was awake. And, I just, kind of like showed it out the door, or whether or not it showed me to the door. I don't know how it happened like that, but I was 8.
Yeah.
But was I asleep and I was dreaming all this? I don't know, but it felt so freaking real to me. Like in all my entire life, I've dreamt a lot of dreams. And when I wake up, I knew they were dreams. They were dreams. But
Yeah.
this was real.
We've had a couple stories similar to that on here before, and my mom has a really similar story to yours.
Hmm.
So I guess this is something that happens.
Yeah, it does kind of seem like something that other people have experienced. So at least there's that. You're not alone.
Well, I didn't know that other people have been there.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, if you hang out in the chat and listen to some of the stories we usually get, you'll probably hear somebody tonight bring up something, probably somewhat similar at least. Um, and that
No,
happens here a
no, I'll
lot.
listen.
Yeah, well, we appreciate you for coming up, and hopefully you hang out with us tonight. And if you think of any
Yeah,
other
I'll be.
stories, feel free to come
Yeah, I
back.
mean, I'm. Yeah, okay, okay. I just want to share that with you because that one just like that's like, I mean, that changed me. That like,
Yeah,
that
definitely
changed me as a
understandable.
child to let me think that okay, this stuff is real. And it's
Yeah.
been like that since that happened. I've never doubted, the whatever people want to call it, paranormal or whatever. I've never doubted it. Since then, I've never doubted it.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you for coming up and sharing that with us. That's a really cool
Yeah,
story.
well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks. We appreciate you.
Yep, have a
Have a
good
good
night.
night.
You too.
Awesome. We're off to a good start. Very spooky. All right, guys, tap the
Mhm.
screen. I saw someone ask in the comments, how do you come up and tell a story? You just get in the guest box. You do have to have 200 followers at the very least, and you have to be 18 or older. Now this is interesting, guys, for some of you who weren't here a minute ago, if you have stuff you want to share, whether it's stories, pictures, any of that type of stuff, and you don't have the followers, you now have the option to come over to the subscriber only Discord, hang out with us. We have all kinds of cool stuff going on over there, and we also do like group chats. So those are super fun. So definitely jump on that and come over and hang out with us. And to my mods and my regulars, if you guys want, you should come over as well. I've been trying to message you, Cat Mama. Yes, Cat Mama. We need to get you up here real quick. We need to talk about this for just a second.
Get up here.
Yeah. Um and then I think we got a couple of guests we'll get to in just a second.
Hi, everybody.
Hey.
Discord, sign me up. You know I'm on Discord.
Awesome. Well, I was trying to get a hold of you. I can't send you a message, but I tagged you in
Yeah,
a post,
I've
and
been
I thought,
bad, so TikTok kind of took my messaging away.
oh, okay. I thought it was your privacy settings. Wow. Okay.
Well, I'll double check that, but yeah, sometimes I try to get to send stuff to people, and it tells me that my I've been a bad girl and I can't DM anybody.
Oh no. Well, we have a Discord and we would like for you to come there and hang out with us.
Yeah.
Is it on your profile? Can I get a link from there?
Um, it's. Are you subscribed? You
No,
can.
but I will if I have to.
I mean, you don't have to because you're one of the mods. I could send you the link. I don't know where to send it to though.
Do you have Instagram, Cat Mama?
Yes.
You, you can just like message Sarah on Instagram or message me
Okay,
and we'll
yeah, I'll
send you the
do
link.
that. It's paranormally correct on Instagram.
Yep.
Okay, I gotta see. I think I'm following you on that, but I'll definitely message you on that.
All right. Yeah, sounds good. We want to get you over there because we've been having a blast with Discord this week. So,
Yeah.
All right, I'm just gonna mute myself real quick because I just got home and I'm gonna settle in and I'll come back.
alrighty, sounds good. Okay, guys, tap the screen, get some people in here. More hearts. Well, more tapping means more hearts, means more people, means more spooky stories. And that's what we want tonight. We want to hear the spookiest spooky story. I can't talk. Spookiest spooky story that you've got. Hello,
Hi,
welcome.
can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right.
You got a spooky
Well,
story for us?
yeah, I do. Well, first I'd like to begin with by giving some references to some authors and artists. They're listed. The first one, Dr. David Jacobs, and then there's Bud Hopkins, and that other guy. But then there's also Whitley Strieber. There's David Huggins, and then there's Jim Sparks. Jim Sparks was the author of that book called The Keepers. So those were a few experiencers. Uh, my story funnels into the alien abduction phenomenon. I lived in a haunted house that was built before the turn of the century between 1800 and 1900. So my house was like under a century old. So it's been there for a while. So it's like the layout's the same year after year, but the seasons change and whatnot. So so there was me and my neighbor, and that we're experiencers. So there was picture this front yard that's always the same year after year. So that like you're a kid and you're going to school and you're coming home and you're on your porch. It was the same. I had let's say like it was ordinary, and I slept in my house and I went places with my dad, and that's when sort of some of the abductions happened. And after the abductions, like I went, let's say like one time I went to a movie theater, and then I was abducted there with my dad, like on the road, and it was like the get on the table thing. So I had a lot of dream-like alien abduction scenarios that I knew were real because I had a few times 100% encounters, like around my house that I lived in for 18 years. And that was like year after year, the same neighborhood, the same kind of street. And I was abducted in that house. And I remember some of my abductions, dream sequences and stuff like that, which I write down in art, like Huggins or whatnot. But then after those vague encounters that happened frequently, I guess, growing up, there was also a BEK encounter, the Black Eyed Kids. If you type that into YouTube, you'll see Black Eyed Kids. And this
Oh, yeah, I'm
place,
actually familiar with those. Very interesting.
yeah, I'm very familiar with it. Like I see the stories, and then because I experience it 100%, I relate to it. Like a lot of the things people say, and I have a sense of legitimacy of what they say. But I'm doing my stuff. So I had a number of black-eyed kid encounters afterwards that were 100% without like loss of memory, but then like the abductions were still going on, and I remember them too. So they came up to the house a bunch of times, and a bunch of times when I was with people. I was in an old folks home, and then they were there in the old folks home. And when I was walking down the hallway, something happened. I would be taken somewhere or something then someone else took me to them to get abducted, and I was taken back. A lot of things were like there were a lot of people, and then all of a sudden you see someone with black eyes, sort of. And then people in my house were affected too. Well, I went with my dad upstate to Lake George, and I got abducted there also. And that was just like sitting there, and I didn't move or anything. It was like sitting, let's say like it was equivocate, you like sit in a bench or something, like a booth with like they put you in a booth, that's one thing. And then I have like I can like describe it, but there's also Steve Boucher. You know that Canadian guy, Steve Boucher? But he says
No.
this. Some people said Boucher, Bousher, and he had something where he got abducted with his dad.
So, you
French
said you had
Canadians.
you had a lot of abduction experiences. Can you kind of walk us through that? Like what
I've had
what was
I've had
that?
experience with French Canadian people. I've also had experiences where the kids were so beautiful, but they didn't want me looking at the kids or something like that. But they showed up on the corner of my eye. I tried to
So can you kind
matriculate it to
of
normal. What was that? Go ahead, please.
can you kind of give us a little bit of info on like what the abduction experience was like? Like what happened? Were you
Yeah,
outside?
I
Were
can
you
give you an example of one.
okay?
The atmosphere gets to be like a vibration, and you feel it in the atmosphere. And then if you were to see them without, like, let's say, getting sick or anything, let's say if they were to show up and it was a hybrid or whatever, something had black eyes in your presence, and the vibration in the air, if they talk to you, if they say go watch TV, it's like very prominent because you hear it in the vibration. They kind of cancel it out to send that to you. Then you go do that, and you have a lot of one commands. But then when they have other ways of communicating when you're in their presence also. Go ahead. Did I answer your question?
Well, I was kind of wanting you to tell like one of the actual stories, like from beginning to end, like what happened. Like, were you outside? Did you see like a lot? You know, like
All
did
right.
you?
Well, here's one that turned into an abduction, right? I had like a chestnut tree, like a Japanese chestnut tree, and they have like documentation of kids eating that chestnut tree and dying. But that was in my front yard, right? And those seeds are like green with like prickly with like the chestnuts inside. So I ate them one time because I felt really really bad, and I ate them, and then I went. It was in the morning time, from the morning before the afternoon, and I went to go sit in my kitchen like around 11 in the morning, and then they knew that I ate that chestnut, and then they abducted me from my kitchen. My kitchen had a glass door. They came in, and then my mom grabbed me, and we ran into the foyer, and then there was pins and needles, like static electricity, and like static, and then pins and needles, and then you were on the floor like pins and needles in the foyer. And when you get to the door, they came through the glass door into the foyer from the kitchen, where the glass door was in the back. And then they did that eye shine thing where they look at you, and then each part of the shine is something that they communicate to you. They give you the reason why and all that, and they calm you down with like their eyes and then the light in the eyes. So then when they came to me when I was lying in the foyer, that's when I blacked out, but I do remember that. And then when we went over there, they had me do some different things. And then they brought me to my mom's car, and my mom drove to New Jersey where my aunt was.
Did you
They
ever
black you out.
experience?
They can
Sorry,
black out. I'm sorry.
did you
I'm
ever?
sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Let me just add more. Okay, so that was the beginning. I told you, right? I told you at the beginning Okay. And then from that beginning, I blacked out, right? And then I vaguely remember different parts, but then I blacked out. So that's an example like that, right? And then they bring you back, and then when you bring you back, you're doing something else. Then let's say you go, let's say it's similar to go watch TV, but you can be doing something else anyway and not think about it. And if you tell someone else outside of it, they're not gonna go know what the fuck you're talking about, and there's gonna be a lot of social hoovering. You might miss out on a virgin or two, or completely, and then you might get a message never to be with a member of the opposite gender, and then more things would be eluded because of some physical reason or something like that. But you have good knowledge, and then also squirrels. I wanted to give a reference to cryptids. There was a squirrel thing, and then they had a hybrid. They did this thing where they gave me a hammer, and they told me to kill something, and I did without question. But when they brought me back one time, there was a squirrel, and then that squirrel looked like a girl also, and it was in the garbage. And it went, ah, no, no. And then years later, I saw like this teenage sort of like actress that did wild things with some kid, right? In adult films. And it looked like that squirrel face, but it was a teenager. You know what I mean? So then they took they sort of took the hybrid squirrel, which they threw out because it was Dropa cryptid, but then my mom's boyfriend, because my mom was crazy. She had a boyfriend after she left my dad. After they got divorced, and then the boyfriend probably saw something. He said its mother took it away, and he didn't see no mother over there. He saw a pewter gray. I call them pewter grays, the basic gray, the elephant looking gray. And then there's also this light gray. There's like a lighter gray that mixes and becomes beigeish, but it doesn't have to, and you just see lighter gray. And there was this lady that looked lighter gray with beige. She used beige, but then she was also lighter gray. And then she showed up to me, and I might have seen her again.
Oh, I think we lost him. I guess we better move on to the next guest there, Sarah.
Alrighty, well, holy shit. Okay, guys, tap the screen, send some snoop boops, get some people in here. The number just bottomed out. Lord of mercy, we are off to a start. Sorry about that, guys. Raven, I don't know if you're going to connect, my dear. I think we have a connection problem. I think TikTok is overloaded tonight, so guys, strap in. We're gonna have technical difficulties left and right. I guarantee it. Um, all right, everybody, tap the screen. Tap, tap, tap. See what? Okay, this is an interesting. Wait. Let's see here.
Hello.
Hello and welcome.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I can't hear myself. Okay. Wow, this is strange. This is the first time I'm ever doing this. I've only been on TikTok for like a week or so. Anyway,
Mhm.
so I have this story that my father-in-law just told me, and it totally freaked me out. And he's a total he's uh, a total stand-up guy. He's so I have no reason to believe that this is fake. And like he's never told a lie in his life. So anyway, my wife's family is from Ireland, and so he left Ireland in his, I want to say probably 20s, to come to the United States, and he's in his late early 80s now. So he told me this story, and it was kind of strange. So anyway, he's in Ireland with his friends, and they're in their 20s, and they're at someone's house, and they're hanging out and drinking around a table, and um, like just like normal teenagers or 20-year-olds would do. And so it was getting late and it was time to leave. So um, some of his friends left, and this one guy in particular left. And let's just say his name is Patrick. And he, um, oh, and before, as they were drinking, they were talking, and they were talking about the afterlife, and like they wondered what it would be like, and they're having a big conversation about it. So before he left, this Patrick, he, was involved in the conversation. So, um, and they're all discussing about how it would be. Would you see your friends? Would you see, your family members from the past and blah, blah, blah. So so Patrick leaves, close the door. I'll see you guys tomorrow. And so I guess maybe a few of them are left, including my father-in-law. And so they go to bed. Well, they're getting ready for bed, and there's a knock at the door, and it's Patrick. He opens up the door and he says, I just want you guys to know that um, it's beautiful and it's everything we spoke about." And they're like, "Oh, very funny, very funny." So they all went, they closed the door on him, went to bed. Um, so they wake up the next day and they go into town. Like it was like there was no, like, obviously it was before cell phones and all that stuff. So they go into town on their bikes, and finally they find out that Patrick was killed on the way home that night. And apparently, um, somehow, some way, his image or he came back and, you know, knocked on that door that night and told everybody that, wherever he was or is or whatever, he, it was him, but he died that night going back home. He was hit by a car on his bike. So it was a story that gave me like chills up my back. And my father-in-law is like a real respectable person. He would never like lie anything about that. And he told me the story. It was really creepy. So it just
Yeah.
makes you wonder.
Yeah,
And that's my story.
absolutely. Well, we appreciate you.
How do you hang up? I don't
I
know.
got you.
Oh,
I got
okay.
you. Thank you.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you.
Wow.
Yep, pretty
Amazing.
intense.
All right, guys. I don't know who was here first. Oh, I see somebody in the comments. Aaron from Kentucky Cryptids. Hey, and hello and welcome, Jonathan.
And for a quick resolution to the conflict.
Jonathan, are you with us?
And we'll continue to lead the way on any
I think he might have requested by accident, possibly. Maybe.
And our free mobile app.
I'm going to go ahead and disconnect you, Jonathan. If you want to hop back in the box and share a story with us, feel free. Who's next? Okie dokie. Yeah, that was a good story. Hello, welcome.
Hey, how you doing?
Hello.
Good, how are you?
Not bad. So my story isn't about paranormal or extraterrestrial or cryptid or unexplained or glitch in the matrix. It's a real story. But it always reminds me of like when those people go into those haunted houses and things, and how creepy it is. I was in a school, I think it was elementary school, and there was this house that was in the forest, and it was far down in the forest hills. And one of the kids had dared a kid to go down into that house. And we were joking about like maybe there was prisoners from jail that lived in that house. We had no idea how real that story was. Because the next day, next couple of days or something, the police officers were asking about the kid that went down to the house. And we were like, we don't know. We just, first they're asking where was the kid that disappeared. And then we said, oh, we don't know. He went to that haunted house. So the next thing we saw was cop car. Went over to that house to investigate to see if that kid was in that house. And then there was 6 cop cars, 2 ambulances, and 7 body bags. And that always creeped me out about people that go into haunted houses, because you never know what crazy people are inside of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good point. All
Yeah,
right.
that's
Well, we
pretty
appreciate you
crazy.
for coming up
It
and
is.
sharing
I
your
mean,
story with us.
there were real jail people that snuck into that house and they were living in it.
Yeah, it happens sometimes. Well, we appreciate you for coming up and sharing your story.
All right, I'll be out, or you can kick me out, whichever way.
I got you. All right. Let's see. Everybody tap the screen. Send some hearts. Got to get out there in the algorithm. And Cat Mama is headed to the Discord. Everybody rejoice. Hey, welcome back, I think. Yeah.
Oh, this, yeah. Hi, this is Rich Barbie again. So, no, it reminded me of a story that happened to me when I was about, um, we moved houses, so it had to be like 1979. Um, so we moved from one town to another. We moved to a bigger house, and and I remember, like, it was a new house for me, for me and my older brother. So um, my um, this is kind of like a paranormal story, and it never got explained. I never really thought about it until, later on in life. But anyways, um, so my bed faced the door. My feet were towards the door, and I always slept with the door open because I was a little kid and I was like scared. So uh, and my door opened up to the hallway, of which you could see the closet door and my parents' door. So I felt comfortable with the door open. So anyway, it was maybe like a month into sleeping in the new house. Like, everything was like brand new, and I was just getting used to all the noises in the house. And so I remember sitting up in bed, like I was in bed, and I fell asleep, and then I was awakened maybe like 2 or 3 hours later by some noise. And it wasn't a scary noise. It was just so so I opened up my eyes, and I saw my mom putting like linens away, like bed sheets and towels away in the closet um, that I could see through my open door. So I thought nothing of it, and um, like it must have been like 3 in the morning, because I remember like the moonlight. There were no particular lights on. It was just like light coming on through the windows from the street lamps of the city. And so I went back to bed, thought nothing of it. I woke up, to go to school, got showered, went down to the breakfast table. My older brother was there, and we're having our cereal. And so finally, my mom comes down, and we're all like, it's the morning, we're all busy getting ready. And so I'm just about to get up, and I was like, "Oh, Mom, by the way," I was like, why were you putting like towels and linens away at like 3 in the morning?" And I get up from the table. I'm just about to leave, like put my school bag over my shoulder, and she's like, "That wasn't me. I was in bed the whole night." And right there, I was just like, "Oh my God!" I was like, "What is going on?" And when I replay like what I saw, it actually was kind of strange, because I don't know if you remember, like what the old fashioned maids wore. They wore like these old like aprons, and I remember the lady, whoever was putting the stuff there, like inside the closet, was wearing one of those aprons. And I was like, and I remember saying to myself, when I was in bed, I was like, "What the heck is my mom wearing?" And so it was just, a new house, and maybe there was something left over in the house, who knows? But it was like a really kind of like freaky story for me, or, experience. So that was, one of the like 4 or 5 experiences I've ever had with that kind of stuff.
Very interesting. Chris?
Yeah, that is interesting. Great stories. Do you have another one you want to tell us?
Um, I do, but it's not as, it's like a little, it's not as clear cut. Like I didn't see anything, but it was more like feelings. But like uh, like there was one time I went away and it was quite kind of similar to the story you guys first heard, with that girl. I forgot her name, but anyway, um, I was uh, I was away with my older brother and we went on a skiing trip. And we're up in this like log cabin up in Maine, and I remember I was in bed and I was on the bottom bunk and my brother was on the top. And I remember it was like 3 o'clock. It was late, early in the evening, early in the morning hours. Everything is completely black, and um, all of a sudden I felt someone jump on top of me, and the weight of the person, I was a little kid, so the weight of the person was so heavy that I couldn't breathe or talk because I felt like their hand was over my mouth. And I remember struggling and I couldn't move. And finally, like I think I just passed out from like not breathing. And then when I came to, I jumped up out of the bed and I was like, my older brother's name was Ron. I was like, Ron, what the hell are you doing? I was like, why'd you do that to me? I was like, I'm going to tell mom and dad. He's like, what are you talking about? So that was another thing that happened to me. And it was like really kind of scary.
Yeah, it's insane, actually.
Yeah. I mean, so I like, when I was a little kid, like I used to think all these weird things would happen to me because my older brother and his friends were kind of like into like I don't want to say like into the paranormal, but like they weren't really into that stuff. But they had this one friend who always like came over like on a Saturday night with a Ouija board or something like that, and that's where a lot of these like stories stemmed from. So, but he was never really like considered a like close friend. He was just kind of like one of those guys who showed up with another guy or kid
Right.
back then. And that's where the other story that I have, um literally like it scared the heck out of me. And it happened in high school. And it was around a Ouija board. I don't know if anyone's ever played with those things, but they're really like, I think they're really like really scary and dangerous. So anyway, so I'm in high school and like, everyone thought everyone was like going through this phase where they love to be scared, like the girls. And you know, you go to a party and like there was like this one section where, all the kids are like trying out a Ouija board or whatever. And so I go over there and to this one party. I was really skeptical about it. So I was like, there's, let me just see, what if it's really true. So so I go over there and like everyone, like with the Ouija board, you gotta like the more people that touch the wooden thing that shows you what it's trying to say, um, the faster it moves. So it was like a kind of a question and answer type thing. And so I went over there, and I was really skeptical about it. And I was like, why are you playing with this, stupid thing? And and all of a sudden it said like it said my name. It said like, why is Rich so skeptical or something like that. And I was like, okay, somebody moved it. So then I said, um, I was like, okay, I was like, let me ask it a question that I would never know, and we'll see what happens. So I was like, what was the name of my first pet? And I was like, nobody is ever going to get this. I mean, nobody knows this. First of all, my first pet was a hamster, and I was like, I never, I think I had the hamster for like 3 weeks. So anyway, so I put my hand on the little device, it it went to ROCKY, and it spelt out Rocky. And then, and I had just seen the Rocky movie, and I named the hamster after Rocky, and I was like, oh my God. I was like, how did that happen? So that was like, ever since then, I never went near one of those things. And it was like the scariest thing I ever, it was just, you can't explain it. I don't know. I don't know how it happened, but it happened. And
Yeah,
it gave
that's
me,
really cool.
yeah,
A
it
lot of
was,
people in the comments are saying that maybe you're sensitive, maybe you have like mediumship abilities. Have you ever thought about that?
well, if I do, I don't want them. But I'm 50 years old now, so I'm like, I'm not interested in that kind of thing. I'm just kind of, but I do kind of think you're right about that, because I used to have like really, really scary nightmares. So my mom got my like priest involved, and like he used to like come into my room and like sprinkle the water around and all that stuff. So, I kind of outgrew it. So I never really, um, we kind of nipped that bud before it grew into anything really, really bad. Um, so yeah. So if I do have that gene, I hope it's gone.
Yeah, I can't say I blame you.
Because this stuff
Well,
like really, it keeps me up at night. Like the Ouija board. I don't know if anyone's had experiences with that stuff, but it's no joke. It's like really scary stuff.
I've tried, but I've never had any luck so far. But
Oh,
I'm planning on getting me one, and I'm going to live stream myself trying to use it, see if I can get a hold of anything. But
well, there was this one kid. I used to go to Maine for the summers, and there was this one kid who was he was from Massachusetts, and he was really into it. And he actually this kid was really scary. He gave me the spooks. Like he gave me the creeps every time I saw him, and I could never look him in the eye because I felt like he was like, he was older than I was. I was like maybe 12 or 13 or so, and he was like 16, 17. And he was into all this like demonic stuff. Like he wore like, had like chains and like, like wore black all the time. And I just wasn't about that, and I was like, a skateboarding kid. And, so it was just really, it was kind of scary. He gave me like the scary vibe. So he would always have like he had like the tarot cards, and he had like the Ouija boards, and he would always tell these scary stories like campfires and stuff. And I thought it was a joke up until a point, but then like people started like talking about like how he started using the Ouija board, and like this one girl, something happened with this one girl, and I don't know the whole story, but I was, I remember hearing something really bad happen to her, and um so I was like, I'm never hanging out with that guy Gary again. And so um, and it all precipitated from the Ouija board. So if anyone's out there and has one of those things, burn it.
yeah, that seems to be the consensus here. But I'm still going to get me
I believe
one. I don't care.
I not to I don't know this for a fact, but I think that's how the girl from Amityville Horror got possessed. I think through Ouija board. Um,
Yeah.
don't quote me on it, but I think that's how it happened.
I see Raven in the comments saying, no, Sarah. He's always telling me no every time I say I'm getting a Ouija board. Yeah, you may be right about that. But yeah, it definitely sounds like you're sensitive to these things. It seems like you're in tune with the paranormal in a way
I
that
hope not.
most others are not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you could probably ignore it. Maybe it'll go away, but
Well, if I think of
yeah.
another scary story, I'll tell you, because a lot of like weird stuff has happened. Like, I'm 50, so it's like, a lot of I've seen a lot of weird things, but um,
Mhm.
some are unexplainable, but you never know.
Yeah.
But I'll tap in again if I remember one. I'd
Awesome.
like to hear some others because it's just nice to know that I'm not the only one like hearing this stuff.
Exactly. All right. Well, yeah, definitely come back if you think of another one.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, guys, everybody tap the screen, and it's been a little while, so I must remind you that we have a Discord. It's a subscriber-only Discord. You should be able to, somewhere up at the top of the screen, see a subscribe button. So if you want to subscribe and you get instant access to the Paranormally Correct Discord, there's a bunch of us over there. We have a wild and crazy time. We do like little mini ghost streams where we like get in the chat box and like voice chat with each other, video chat. It's super fun. Definitely come over and hang out with us. What else? What else, Chris? What else do I need to say?
Yeah, it gets crazy. It gets wild in the Discord, guys.
It gets
I would recommend.
wild.
It gets X-rated. Triple X rated.
Only when Chris is on there. That's, yeah. We tell him no, but he does whatever he wants. So
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's fun.
Chris.
We have fun.
Yeah, awesome time. Druid.
Sorry, my neurodivergent hyper-focus was kicking in during that conversation, so of course I had to take and put my 2 cents in. As somebody that is one of those individuals that wears chains and all black all the time and studies the occult, though I don't work with demons. So the situation with the Ouija board, like, I've messed with them numerous times. I've never brought anything into my existence by doing so. It is, in all accounts, just another form of divination, much like tarot cards, crystal gazing, water gazing, aquamancy, pyromancy, etc., etc. If people are having negative experiences with these, it's not on the board itself, it's whatever they're doing themselves. So if they're not wording themselves properly, or if they are not as well versed in the proper forms of communication, it's not due to the board, it's due to the person. If people want to mess with any type of divination like that, I would highly suggest that they ward themselves, that they put on some type of something for protection. Don't burn a Ouija board. Do not burn a Ouija board, especially if you have, in some way, shape, or form, invited spirits into your space through that process, because fire is a form of chaotic energy. If you burn the board, then you're basically releasing whatever you brought in anyway. The best way to deal with situations like that would be actually to bury it. And no, it's not to talk to evil. I mean, it's no more, again, it's not any more different than your tarot cards or your crystal gazing or any other form of divination, pendulum. Exactly. Fire is a catalyst. So whenever you're dealing with something on a spiritual level, make sure that you really know what you're doing in that situation so that you don't get yourself into a much worse predicament. Study, research, never enter into anything like that, especially if it's the occult, blindly. I can't stress that enough. Make sure that you study, make sure that you research, make sure that you are fully comfortable that you can do this without the fear of repercussion.
Yeah, right on.
Like I said, I had to put my 2 cents in.
Absolutely. Yeah, see, that's why we need you up here all the time. You got to start coming up with this.
I'm okay with that. Yeah.
Let's see here. I saw somebody, Wookie, was it Wookie's like, why do you only show one eye? Well, you're not here to see me. You're here to hear ghost stories. I'm just like hiding off to the corner of the screen. Why do you only show one eye? That was funny. All right,
I
guys.
told him, and also the background needs to be visible too, right, sir?
Yeah, I mean, like, what? I'm just here just so that you know that I'm kind of here listening to you talk and stuff. But yeah, like, we're not here to look at me. Um, so you gonna hang out with us, Druid?
Yeah, I can. Sorry, I was typing.
Okay.
I was mid-typing
Oh.
while you were asking.
Okay, no problem. All right, let's get Ollie up here and see what is going on in Ollie's world.
Hi, everybody.
Hey,
How's everyone doing?
good. How are you?
It's so-so. I'm going. um, just life changes here and there. But whatever Druid was saying, I wanted to second that on. Yes, I would definitely, before doing anything, talk to experienced people, study, read experiences of others, and follow certain boundary rules. Whenever you're even working with cards, I was just, messaging Druid about like how I'm very sensitive when it comes to card divination, and like whenever I do like cards, like reading cards for anybody, it's always in person, and it's very, very rare for me to ever do because somehow, in a way, I kind of get like energy possessed. And whatever they were asking for example, I had a friend who was really, she was really depressed. She was asking for something about like who's gonna be my new love or whatever, and I'm like, oh, you shouldn't have asked those stupid questions, because you're not gonna get that answer. You're gonna get an answer to a question that you never asked. And she did, and she was in great shock. And I kind of like woke up because I kind of passed out, I believe. And yeah, some of these things, like even if you're an experienced practitioner, it drains a lot of energy. So like I definitely, if I do any kind of divination tool, before and after, like I eat, I'm not on a diet. Like this is a time that I kind of fill myself with energy, physically and spiritually, and then of course understand where I'm doing things and what I'm doing. So people need to be aware that it isn't the Ouija board as much as it's you. They after you. The Ouija board was just a teeny tiny crack in the door, just a little, like an amplifying like mirror for them to come out and get you. It's kind of like that. Same with the cards and stuff. So, but yeah, like crystal gazing, Druid, you and I, we can talk on that later.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm still looking for the on switch to the crystal ball. I've tried.
There isn't an on switch. Unfortunately, it just takes a while of you being like, you have a candle, you got your crystal ball, and you consecrated it, and you just like just stare and stare and stare until you see the images. It's like, you're on
And and I know that it's usually within your third eye rather than the actual ball itself. The ball acts basically as a focal point in order to manifest those particular visions.
Yeah, and that's, ladies and gentlemen, where the crystal ball theme comes from.
Yeah, I'm definitely. I wouldn't say I'm necessarily the smartest person in the world by any means, but there's some things I definitely know.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like our input was necessary because a lot of people don't know. But my greatest advice, if you are intuitive, if you are like have any kind of psychic ability, don't be afraid of it. Kind of understand it, because it's a part of you. It's you. So the further you get away from it, it's like a part of you is left behind. And if you are, yeah. And then, it's just like, I wish people would have, like, some guidance as to, don't be afraid of yourself, understand yourself, and then you won't have as much fear in the supernatural, and you'll be able to control it. Because if you control yourself with these abilities, you're able to understand the other side a lot better. And I really hope people.
And not to mention the fact that basically playing off what Ollie was saying is, this is the main part of any form of divination, is your board, your cards, your crystal ball, etc., etc. They're just tools. Anything that comes from these devices, because some of us, we tend to have certain forms that work better than others do. In my case, for example, I can do the cards better than I can do the crystal ball gazing, etc., etc. But what it is it's your own innate abilities. The tools themselves are just a focal point. They're just something that helps you focus on those abilities that you already have. And real quick also, the one that was just new, that was telling the stories and stuff, my scatterbrain, forget the name, but he was asking me to tell a story. So, super quick story. And then I'll let anybody else come up and do their thing. So, one of the investigations that I did way back, I was probably in my early to mid 20s at the time, and a friend of mine who's no longer a friend had somebody that they had gotten in contact with that was purchased an old elk lodge. That Barbie, thank you, that's his name, thank you. And they were having complaints that the place was haunted. They were planning to put a bar down there and use some of the area for different purposes and whatnot. So me and this former friend of mine had a digital audio recorder. We had flashlights. We had a digital camera, amateur stuff. And we decided to go check this place out. So we go in there, and the owner's friend gave us a tour of the area, basically showing us both the downstairs and upstairs and all these different rooms. So as we were going into the kitchen cafeteria area, I was snapping photographs, and we went to the lobby area, and then we went upstairs, and there was a ballroom that was surrounded by mirrors. And I was shining my flashlight in these mirrors, basically just kind of looking around, not even thinking about it. And this former friend of mine is like, hey, can you maybe not shine them in the mirrors because it's reflecting back? Cool. So we go into the very back, and there's like a changing room area. And then we go downstairs, and we play the audio recorder back. And at the point where she said not to shine the flashlight into the mirrors, we heard as clear as day a fourth voice on the recorder in an English accent say, "Can you spot me up?" To this day, I have no idea who it was. I don't know what they necessarily meant. Could it have been, in regards to a drink, or maybe they were talking about a spotlight? I don't know. But that was one of the most memorable, clearest EVPs that I have ever heard in my life. And
that's really cool. I'd like to hear that too, actually.
Yeah, I wish I still had it, but I know that this person still has the recording device and whatnot, but I don't have any intention of getting back in contact with them. But yeah, near as I can figure, what they were probably referencing, because we were in a ballroom, was probably, like a spotlight being aimed in their direction. Maybe they were, an entertainer or something that had passed on. But yeah, or a spot of tea, like what Cat Mama said. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it made me think of, was a spot of tea. All right. Ollie, did you want to hang out up here for a little bit?
Sure, I'll hang out, no problem.
Okay.
Asking.
Yeah, we got a bunch of people stacking up in the box. Let's try to get some of them up here. Hello, hello.
Hey, how you doing? So,
Good.
the story when I was 4 years old was the creepiest of my life. But I had a lot of abilities at age 4. When my father divorced my mother, and moved away, my father could hear me telepathically communicate to him, and he had my mother's phone number and address that he got from my head. And I had the ability to get candy from machines without putting money in it. I was able to speak to spirits, but I wasn't really able until after the scary situation. And we moved into this apartment building in Virginia. And my mother had given me a cup of water on this table that was the size of a football field. And as the cup was at the end of the table, it moved from the end of the table all the way down to me. And I drank the drink, and then I put it down at the table and moved all the way to the end of the table. So as I go to sleep, my mom saw this too. She saw the cup move from back and forth. I get into my room, and I'm going to sleep, and the closet door opens up. And as I wake up, there are 2 human beings inside my room. 2 people, and they're like, Sam, you're going to have to leave. And the door opens, and there's this light with these glowing red eyes, and it's like, I want your soul. And I was like, holy cow, I am out of here. So I closed the door, and I could hear the spirits. I mean, screaming, bones gnashing, blood just squirting everywhere. And I was scared crapless. And I was like, Mom, we gotta get out, we gotta get out. And we moved. And I don't even know how we moved out of there or how we got out of there, but we did. A guy moved into the same apartment building. He unalived some people. Came out. They put him in, those, those straitjackets. Looked at me. Guy never knew me, never saw me, was like, Sam, I want your soul. And I was like, and he was gone. But I was like, that was the most scary thing that happened to me when I was about 4. I had a lot of abilities. I could see spirits, and I could hear them. You know, like you ever see, what was it called, Bruce Almighty or something? Where you can hear all the voices, and you're just like, shut up, I don't want to hear so much shit. Oh, come on, man, just leave me alone, and so I was ended, my life was ended this way and that way. I'm like, I don't want to hear it, man, just leave me alone. I'm not your savior or anything. I'm not going to help you solve your problem being dead. Get away from me. And I put a blanket over my head and try to ignore him, and then finally I lost all my abilities afterwards.
Very interesting. It sounds like maybe that's a blessing in disguise if you lost them, though, because that would drive me nuts. Um,
Yeah, it drove me nuts.
well, we appreciate you coming up and talking with us and sharing your story.
All right, I'll let you let me back down.
I got you. All right, we got to hurry. We got to get through some people. We got tons of people piling up.
Busy night.
Yeah.
I like these new stories.
Hey,
Yeah.
hey,
Hello, welcome.
hi. I just want to shout out to Druid Nightshade. I love you.
Hello.
He is my one of my favorite people on this app. So yeah, been mutuals for a couple days, but he's been great. I've enjoyed all of the stories, and I have one like one to share. And this is like the craziest story I've ever heard personally, but take it for what you will. So I was 15, about to turn 16, and this is definitely paranormal, but also very very um I don't know how to describe it, so y'all let me know what you think. So I was 15, about to turn 16, and I went to sleep one night, and I had a dream where this guy was telling me that I needed to look out for something, and this something was a gift that I would be given on my 16th birthday. He was just like, look out for a pink bottle of nail polish. And I woke up, and my mom was, asking me what I wanted for my birthday, and I was just like, I don't know, I want nail polish, because I was just allowed to paint my nails and all that stuff. And she was just like, what color? And I was just like, I don't know, but I don't think that I should go for pink. She was like, why? And I was just like, I don't know. So the next night I had a dream, and, something else said to me, like, hey, let's not go for the pink nail polish. I was in a nail salon, and I picked out like a pink nail polish, and they were just like, oh no, not the pink nail polish. So, and then I woke up the next day, and then something happened that day where one of my friends was just like, yeah, I'm thinking about getting you something for, your nails, like a nail kit, because, I know that, that you want to paint your nails. And I'll get like, I know that this is long-winded, and I apologize for this, but like all of these details are super important. So then the next day I woke up after a dream. Someone mentioned pink nail polish, and like shook their head, in a disapproving manner. And then I woke up the next day, and it was my birthday. And I remember getting all of these gifts. I opened up, and there was this gift. It was pink nail polish from a friend that I no longer have. And I picked up the nail polish, and I ended up I ended up like taking all of it up into my room, except for the pink nail polish that I kept downstairs. And I remember something in my head telling me, keep it downstairs, don't like keep it in your room and all that stuff. And then I had another dream where it was like on fire. Well, for some reason, I went downstairs and I picked up the nail polish, and I felt someone grab my ankle and pull me to the floor, making me drop the nail polish on the ground. And it didn't break or anything. It was on the carpet. But I like my mom picked up the nail polish, and she was just like, what are you doing? And I was just like, well, I fell and I tripped, but somebody pulled my ankle. And she was like, that's impossible. And I was just like, no, somebody pulled my ankle. And she was like, that's impossible. What are you talking about? And I walked upstairs, like without the nail polish in my hand. And then I remember passing out and then waking up in the hospital. And someone told me that like my energy was like feeling super off. And then when I got to the hospital, some woman had on pink nail polish, and she literally saved my life, because I had passed out. And like a lot of the doctors were like concerned that I wouldn't like wake up from consciousness. And this nurse saved me by doing CPR on me. And she had on nail polish. I specifically remember when I woke up, I saw her pink nail polish. And my mom and dad were all around me. And then like once I got home, I was just like, like recounting everything. And then I brought up the woman. She was like blonde with pink nail polish, and they were just like, that lady never existed.
That's really kind of creepy.
Like I was just like, what do you mean she doesn't exist? She had on pink nail polish, and like what the heck? And like it was all, and it was all sort of like, I don't know. I was like I like my mom said that I could have died. Like I just passed out, and I had like this near death experience. Nothing was like wrong with me at all. But yeah, my heart literally gave out and stopped for no reason whatsoever. So
Yeah. Panel, does anybody want to chime in?
I have no idea what to make of this.
You, Ollie?
It could have been. So what were your emotions during the time when you had this experience with this lady with the pink nails?
I was scared, to be completely honest. I was like, so I was scared, but only because like I saw the pink nail polish and it was like the exact shade that, you know, my gift was.
Interesting. And you were like, did you ever feel like the spirit wanted to harm you? Or was it like saving your life? What did you feel like at the end? Was it relief or was it just questions?
It was more like it was more confusion. Like I'm like I was confused, and then like I got like kind of scared because I was just like, someone said look out for pink nail polish, and I don't know, like every single dream that I had leading up to that event was pink nail polish, pink nail polish. And then I got pink nail polish as a gift. And then all of a sudden my heart stopped. And there was this like woman with pink nail polish that nobody remembers whatsoever.
Maybe a spirit guide, or like Holly said, an angel.
Yeah, I feel the same. I agree with Druid. It's like it could have been a Reaper that didn't want to take you, like an opposite of a Reaper. There's a lot of like spirits that of death that kind of warn you and like tell you that this is gonna happen, or like give you a direction of that you're gonna have this near death experience. And that was just, these are signs leading up to it. Like something worse could have happened, but the spirit saved you. So
Yeah.
it seems like, you know, some whatever happened, like you had a near death experience, it could have been death, but this was something like, okay, you know what? This is gonna be like a chance for you to like, you know, settle yourself, get yourself to a point where you know what's gonna possibly happen, or watch these signs. And could have been 1,000 things, to be honest with you. It could have been a million different things that could have happened with your train of thought, not knowing any of this. Could have been like basically literally nail in the coffin for you. But it turned into a near death instead of death, possibly because of these dreams and signs stressing you out, probably steering you towards a kind of a different direction, even if it meant 2 inches to the left. And it could have been just that that's enough, you know, to
Yeah.
kind of save you. And that's what I feel that this was doing, because if it was something very attached, very malevolent, you'd still be having these issues. But you were probably touched by one of the spirits revolving death. What it was, I'm not sure,
Yeah.
because they will always portray themselves in a much different way to you, where it will make sense to you. And that's what basically is the important thing is, well, we're glad you're safe and sound.
Ever since I'm
Yeah.
going to say ever since then, every time every time I think of that like thing, I my aura changes from I have a clear aura normally, and then it changes from clear to pink every time I think about it. It's weird. And ever since then, my near death experience, I've been able to see into the supernatural and into the paranormal and see spirits and ghosts. Like I walked into like a really old Publix and I saw like 3 ghosts like just passing by me, and they looked at me, and like one of them had their fingers up to their lips like, shh, don't tell anybody. I'm just like, okay, I don't know what to do. Like I don't know what to do with this gift because like I'm
Yeah.
literally a nobody.
Well, I mean, unfortunately, there are some side effects. I say unfortunately because it is something that you were probably thrown in on. I'm not sure if this is destiny, if this is a path that you were meant to take, but probably something chose you for it. And it is hard. Trust me, a lot of people are practitioners who have been born with gifts. If there's no correct guidance, I mean, I wouldn't be a psychologist at this point. I would probably I would probably be in the mental ward if I didn't know anything or get myself grounded. But oftentimes there are a lot of people, you're not alone, who have experiences with near death and then kind of like have a residue on them, on their aura, if you may, that this is what is going to now, once your eyes are open to that world, you can't really unsee it. And it's hard to turn off depending on where you're at life too. So I would say, like, I hope there's somebody close around you where you can confide into, get like, a group of spiritual people going so you can share experiences and hopefully others can guide you personally. But the thing is, one thing's for sure, you want to do protection words for you because now other things are gonna come after you. They're gonna want to talk to you. Like, Barbie, the other gentleman that was here, he was sharing that, he kept having these experiences and it kind of went away. Sometimes it doesn't just go away, it's suppressed, but it's still kind of there. What you want to do is control it, understand yourself with it, and understand the world around you, mundane and spiritual, and it's going to help you.
Yeah, I definitely have had a lot of like, because that was like the most like complex paranormal experience that I've ever had because it was so multifaceted. Which it surprises me how like shallow or deep and complex paranormal experiences can be, because sometimes it's just shadow sightings and you just see shadows that aren't from humans that are like on the walls, as like moving and all that stuff, and sometimes it's just like these crazy stories that you hear. But yeah, I definitely have had a spirit in my life like ever since I was like 14, 15 years old. And I know that like I was stupid when I was 14, 15 years old, and I didn't know what it was, and like if it was like malevolent or if it was like a friendly spirit or whatever it was. But I named him Raphael, and like every single time that I was in trouble, I would say Raphael's name, and I would stop, like my anxiety attacks would stop. And
You know who Raphael was in the angelic hierarchy, right?
No.
Raphael was the healer. He was the physician.
Are you serious?
I'm dead serious. He is the holy physician, the angel of healing, or the archangel, I should say.
So I had the archangel of healing with me the entire time, and it was healing my anxiety, my stress, and my physical ailments.
Possibly.
What the frick? Oh my god.
Yes, it's a great possibility. I work with I'm an Abrahamic practitioner by by birth, as a religion I was born into, as Magi's. But yes, Druid is probably point on. It seems like this is Raphael, and it seems like this is his energy at work. This is what he does.
What? This is why I needed to join this live, because oh my god.
Yeah, Saint Raphael, or the Archangel Raphael, it goes by many other names, but your predicament, it seems like you are kind of like in this set that you are meant to help someone or something coming forward. So go with that flow because I can testify to this. You want to hold on to their hands, like let them guide you and keep your eyes very much open because they're protecting you on and off and on and off like continuously for a reason. There's something like big in store for you.
Yeah, I've been in touch with that, and recently with hard times with my family, I've kind of like lost a little bit of my faith in this, but recently I felt, like Raphael again. It was weird because like I was in the shower and, like I heard like a faint knocking on the door and I thought that it was my husband, but he like coming home from his business trip, but it wasn't. And like I was just like come in and I felt like in the shower with me a cold because it was like scorching hot. Like I like my shower scorching hot. And then I felt like a cold breeze against my skin. And like I checked, the air wasn't even on because I can see the thermostat from like the mirror in the bathroom. The air conditioning wasn't on. I had it on off because it was a cold day outside. So the air conditioning wasn't on. It just was a very cool, like very frigid breeze. And like it just was weird because I was just like come in and it came in like to the shower and I felt it. Like it's weird how like it affects me. And then my emotions are all askew for at least like 24 hours after like my experiences. So
Do you ever have this scent around you? Do you have a strange smell that always resonates? What kind of smell do you smell?
it's like powdered sugar and Windex combined.
Yeah. That's possibly an angel. Usually you're gonna get if it's like something that's like more malevolent, you're always gonna get this very nasty scent.
Sulfur, mold. Yeah.
Rotting meat, like things
Yep.
like just really just, screw up your senses. Things that will make your senses kind of like uplift and open up and relax so you can see better, like with your third eye. It's gonna be like like rosemary and stuff like that. Something that's sweet and kind of like, opens up your sinuses in a little way.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's because you have a positive spirit around you.
I don't know how to describe it. It's like powdered sugar and a little bit of Windex and like a twinge of honeysuckle. Like it's just so strange because like I like whenever Raphael's around, I smell honeysuckle and like the powdered sugar and Windex like combination, and it's a very distinct smell. Very distinct smell. When he's not around, it's very musty. And when I notice like an evil presence, it's almost like rotting wood. And the rotting wood comes, and I know where it comes from. I had an evil spirit attach itself to one of my pocket watches that I got from Wyoming. It was a very deceptive spirit because like I had I had messed with a like a certain ritual that I was doing in Wyoming, and it attached to it attached to my pocket watch. And ever since like when I carried it around my neck, I always smelled rotting wood, and when I took it off and I didn't have it with me, I couldn't smell it anymore. And I had other people smell it to make sure that it wasn't like the actual like pocket watch that smelled like it smelled of rotting wood, and they were just like, I
Right.
can't smell anything because like sometimes especially when you get it from a gift shop, like there could always be like a certain lingering scent from like the manufacturing plant, and I didn't want to make sure I didn't want to like attach like my beliefs to something that didn't need to like be believed. because I didn't want to be crazy and, like think of myself as like some sort of spiritual, like psychic and, like me just looking crazy and like it not being real. But like none of my friends or family smelled the rotting wood, only me. So that meant that it was like very specific to me. And then I noticed that every time every time I put this like pocket watch down, it would always fall off the surface, no matter if it was placed like in the middle of the surface or on the edge. It would always fall off. Like, and even if it was like the cord, not the cord, but like the chain was wrapped up and like balled up and put on the middle of the surface, it would always fall. And it would always be, like, I don't know, but it always smelled of rotting wood whenever I had it around. And like this evil spirit, like it stunk so bad. It was like termites eating the wood and pooping. Like that's what it smelled like. So
Yeah, you welcome to the club. You were one of the gifted ones. So it's gonna be with you, but my advice to you is do not fear this. And as far as your faith goes, this is a calling for you to follow your faith your way. This is sometimes like, of course, like my background, you're it's like a huge church or a huge mosque or a huge synagogue. When there are people like ourselves attached to this, we are forced to isolate. And in the past, in history, like, with the witch hunts and everything, you would see that, oh, these kinds of people, because they're isolated, they were hunted down. No. This is basically the heavens saying you need to isolate in order to kind of get perspective and find yourself and then be intuitive with your abilities. Because even like, Druid was saying about the messenger, Saint Gabriel, the angel of the God's messenger, basically isolated every single prophet. Like Jesus was isolated, Moses was isolated, Muhammad was isolated. All of these are great prophets leading up to the Abrahamic faith, including even Noah, like Noah's story, like he was even isolated. And they always spoke to them individually and to follow that path on their own. They were tested at every single minute, bless their souls, but that's how it is. I'm not saying that we're prophets or anything. I'm just saying that this is how spirituality in itself works. Sometimes a church is just too noisy for you. Sometimes you need to have your church in the woods by the tree.
Yep.
yeah.
I was just agreeing.
Also, I know that I've lived past lives. That's kind of obvious because I connect with people on such a personal level. It's insane, and people are just like, it feels like I've known you for like ever, and I'm just like, and I know that I know that I was a witch during the Salem witch trials. Just because of my like obsession with the Salem witch trials from a very young age, and then like
But
my
as somebody that's obsessed with the Salem witch trials, you would know that nobody that was actually convicted in Salem were witches.
Yeah.
It was mass hysteria.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
you witness.
I just have a feeling because like I feel like I was connected to the Salem witch trials somehow, some way. I don't know if it was like I was an actual witch or like one of the like, because I know that I wasn't convicted because I don't have like a fear of fire or like hanging or anything. So like I don't know what that means.
Wouldn't have
But
had a fear of fire if you were in Salem because the burnings happened over in Europe, whereas everyone except for I think 2 people in Salem were executed by hanging, and then there were 1 or 2 that were crushed to death with rocks. Crushed to being passed on. I don't know, however I can say that without,
stoned.
Stoned.
Yeah, I don't know like why I know that I lived during that or like I know that I was a part of it somehow, some way. Um, just because a lot of people have like a lot of like people in that world have told me, and I've had like personal like dreams that I recall having, and just like what I recall. But I know that I was once a horse, which is interesting. Just a regular old horse. I died of old age.
Trying to find a pun there, but I couldn't find it. Nay, I don't know.
Nay, I say nay. But like it was so weird because like I was an animal. I was active during the Salem witch trials, and then I was a servant to Cleopatra.
Well, we really appreciate you coming up, and hopefully you hang out with us. Stick around in the chat, listen to some stories. I got some people stacking up in the box, so I might have to
Yeah.
try to get to some of those. But we appreciate you.
Thank you so much. Drop me a follow. I'm going live tomorrow.
Alrighty, thanks for coming up. All right, guys, tap the screen, get some people in here, hit the subscribe button. That gives you access to the Discord. We are doing all sorts of fun and wild and crazy things over there. I don't know who was next. I'm just going to start at the top of the list. Hey. Hey.
Oh my goodness, I'm on. Well, I'm sorry. Where's the subscribe button? Where's that?
I don't know. It's a little star. There should be a little star up at the top, I think.
It's down in the lower.
Oh, there we go. I hit the star and it says subscribe in red. Okay. Yeah,
Okay,
just wanted to,
yeah.
That last girl is very interesting. I mean,
yeah.
That was I don't know what to say. It was interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
But when she was speaking, I remembered a story that I was told by my ex-girlfriend, and it was in college, and it totally freaked me out, and I thought, I'd share it with you guys. But I just want to make sure that if I need to find you guys again, like if I want to log on to this, like, do you guys when do you go on TikTok, or do you go on Discord more?
I am on TikTok live every Sunday and Monday night, and I also make video content too.
Oh wow!
For some reason, my live viewers don't know that, but I make videos here, and but yeah, we're all pretty active on the Discord. It is a wild and crazy place over there.
Okay, so I think I subscribed, so hopefully I'll be able to find the Discord thing. But so I'll just get into my story. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to whisper because everyone's starting to go to bed. So one time I was in college, and my it was break time, so it was the end of the semester. So my girlfriend invited me to her house, and I'm from New York, and my girlfriend at the time lived in Philadelphia. So she invited me to meet her family in Philadelphia. So I came home, and I got my car together and everything like that. I spent a couple of days with my family, and I was like, I'm going to Philadelphia to see my girlfriend and meet her family. So I went over there. I drove over there, and so I got to her house, and like, it was a beautiful day. It was in December. It was like a clear day and all that kind of stuff. And the father was going to, make a big like dinner. Like, he was going to grill and stuff like that. And so everything was like going great. And so we're in the middle of like dinner. Like, later on, it's like 4 hours later. We're setting the table. We have, a couple of drinks. We eat. And so we're finally talking about the house, because the house is it's really quite a nice house. And so I was like, oh, this is a really nice house. I was like, how long have you guys lived here? And they were like, oh, we just moved here about maybe like 2 years ago. And the father was an architect, so I could, I was just trying to connect with him in the fact that I was talking about the house and like how nice it was. And so right after, I complimented them on the house, the mother comes right out and says, you would never know it's haunted. and I thought she was kidding. So I was like, oh, that's pretty funny. I was like, ah, so I, just kind of like blew it off. And so, dinner went on. I was talking to her brother about like scuba diving and all kinds of stuff. Like, her older brother was like a scuba diver instructor and stuff like that. Um, so finally, like we're all like getting ready for bed, and I was like, don't let the ghost scare you. Like my girlfriend was like, she put me in the guest room, and I was like, okay, don't let you know. And I was like, good night. I was like, don't let the ghosts get to you. She's like, oh no, don't worry. She's like, they're out and about, and I'm like, oh my goodness. I'm like, what did I get myself into? And so I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, come here, tell me what's going on. She's like, oh, she's like, it's no big deal. She's like, every once in a while, there's a ghost, that we see a ghost. And I'm like, um, and at this point, I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm like, these people are freaks. And so then, so I'm like, what do you like? What I was like, tell me something that has happened. I was like, because I want to make sure it doesn't happen to me, or if it does, I'm gonna, get in my car and drive to New York. Um, so she told me that one night she was sleeping and she was awakened by like a ruffling down by her feet, and she opened up her eyes, and her grandma, who recently passed away, was sitting at the end of her bed and started having a conversation with her about how is school going and how are you, how are your parents doing? I miss everyone. I miss you. And she specifically said, how is your new boyfriend? And that's me. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to bed and lock the door now. And so I was really like really scared. I was like, oh my God. And I had to stay in this house for like 2 or 3 more days. So, but I didn't see anything, but I was definitely not trying to. Like if whenever I heard a noise, I would just put a pillow over my head and just like sing a song. Um, but she told me that, and I believed her. She was like the whole, I did her for about like 3.5 years. We almost got married, and she was like a real like never told me lies. Was never had no reason to lie. So I believed her, and that was really really freaky. The story she told me.
Yeah, don't you just love that when you go to someone's house and everything's going great, and then they're like, "Oh, don't pay any attention to the ghosts."
Yeah, it's like, okay, thanks for the warning. Like you could have told me that
Yeah.
before we met.
I've been on both ends of that situation, and it's always interesting.
I know it, and it actually reminds me of another story. When I was a kid, um, and this is like totally uh, unrelated to my ex girlfriend. When I was a kid, and I think I told you that um, we moved to a different town when I was about maybe like 8 or 9 or 10, and it was like 1970. I think we moved in like 1979. So anyway, I made some new friends, and this one kid had like a sleepover party, and his name, I'll never forget his name. He was a twin. His name was Peter Kenny, and his twin was Chris Kenny. And so they had a pretty big like it was like a center hall colonial. Uh, I don't want to say mansion, but it was pretty big. But so we're all in like this one like side TV room, and the mom was like coming in and out with like Gatorades and like popcorn and all that stuff. And we're watching a movie. I think we're watching like I think at the time we were watching what were we watching? Like I think it was like a Rambo movie or something like that. But anyway, um so all of a sudden like the movie's over, and like we start telling like scary stories and like funny stories, and like so all of a sudden once again, well, this is actually the first time. So Peter Kenny says, well, he goes, you guys are gonna have a nice night here tonight, because he said, he's like, you guys are gonna have a nice night here because the house is haunted. And we're all, and everybody started laughing like, oh, that's pretty funny. So then his mom comes in again to like replenish drinks or take garbage or something like that. And he's like, hey mom, isn't the house haunted? Because they just moved in too, like maybe like a year previously. So, sorry, I'm talking kind of loud. I don't want to wake anyone up. Um, so the mom said, yes, the house is haunted. And at that point, I was like, oh my goodness. It was like, I think it was like 10:45, 11 o'clock. And I was like, I was like, my house is not too far away. Maybe I should just make a run for it. And so then she started going into a story about the things she had seen and heard. And I got really, really scared. It was, I'm like, I have to be like maybe 10 or 11. I can't really remember, but I remember the night so well because when you walk into the house, you see this like long staircase. And so she goes on to tell us like, at that point when Peter says, hey mom, aren't I telling the truth that this house is haunted? And she says, yes, I've seen a few things and heard a few things. So of course I'm like, what did you see? And so everyone's sitting on the ground, like, with their like blankets and like, and popcorn and everything. So she's like, you see that? She points out into the hallway and she's like, you see that staircase right there? She goes, every night in the middle of the night when it's dark, there's a there's a person with a pair of wings that walks up and down the stairs. And I'm like, who is it? And she's like, I don't know who it is because I can't see the face. And they walk up and down the stairs. And every once in a while, I see them. And I was like, oh my goodness. So I got the chills. And like, as soon as like she was done like telling her story, I called my mom and I had her pick me up. I was so scared because I mean, I just didn't know what kind of a person would tell like little kids this story. I was so freaked out.
Yeah, I would be
I
too.
was, yeah, I was like, oh, I got a soccer game in the morning. I gotta go. So I mean, and she was dead serious about it too. I was like, I don't, if I'm a parent and I have like a sleepover with like all these kids over, I would, even if it were true, I would never say that. But
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
so
That's kind of
that's what freaked me out about it. So I think I'm out of stories now. I think that's like the last one.
weird. Well, we have appreciated your stories. You got some good ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, just
Okay. Get
what I'd
more.
like to know is there. It sounds like there's some people on this uh, channel, or I don't know what you call this on this page, or that have played with Ouija boards before, and that's like or used. I don't want to say play, but used. Um, and I know for a fact there's got to be some like really like scary stories about that stuff, because I mean that's it. Although it's like it seems kind of trivial, but it's really I believe, and I was taught, like, because I kind of like that previous girl, like I was kind of sensitive, like you guys were saying. I would always, like, when I was little, I would kind of like hear things in my head. I never knew if they were real or not, but it kind of got addressed, like, because I spoke to my mom about it, and she's like, oh well, let's talk to somebody about it, because I used to have like pretty scary nightmares sometimes. And so, like, she um like spoke to my pastor about it, and like he said prayers for me, and and I came up with this like little thing where I would say a prayer or sing a little song when like I ever got scared. And so ever since then, like, it kind of like I desensitized myself to it. So I never really um it never really got out of hand. But I'm pretty sure there's people out there that have used like the Ouija board, and and probably had some weird stuff happen to them. And I'm just waiting to hear about that. But that's like,
Yeah, we've had some stories on here. People having wild experiences with Ouija boards. I'm always envious because I've never been able to get one to do anything. So
oh no, I've seen some. Yeah, I mean, I've seen some really scary stuff with that, and like, I just could never say if it's true or not because obviously people's hands are on it and moving it. But I remember one time there was this girl Dana from high school, and like she was the one who always had like people over on weekends, and like I remember one time like um, I heard through a friend that she was like started using the Ouija board on her own, and was like, holy cow, that is bad. And so she kind of like fell off the map for like a few months, and like I was like, oh my goodness, was it the Ouija board? And that was senior year, so I never really kind of like reconnected with her, so I wonder if she's okay. But you just never want to kind of use a Ouija board by yourself. That's what I've heard. I don't know the
Yeah.
rules or anything, but
Yeah, I've always heard that too, but who knows? There's only one way to find out. And I don't think Raven's here to tell me no, so I'm going to do it.
Do it. Go ahead and do it.
no way. No way. That's a one-way ticket to I don't know. Who knows? The Sixth Sense. It would be the Seventh Sense.
I mean, like Druid was saying, I feel like it's a lot of people who do have these bad experiences with divination tools. One, if they use somebody else's and it wasn't like given to them, you don't know what somebody may have done. There are, and like craft and a lot of practitioner, even with shamanism, there's a lot of things that people do with certain like similar, very mundane tools, like a little butter knife or even like a crystal ball, for example, and they are, consecrating them. They're putting them up as a purpose. Like, the other girl was telling you earlier in our stories, like she had a locket, like she had this necklace and something was attached to it. Those are conduits. And it could be like that board is a conduit and that was it. Like, it's like a trigger. Oops. Like you just open a door that you were not supposed to open and everything came. That's a possibility. It's also a greater possibility is just you and they were waiting for you to do something ritualistic in order to like make it to where a spirit or something can come through and come to like, like reflect upon you like a mirror. It is also known that some people have legends about, oh no, you got to cover your mirrors when you go to bed or something like that. Something can be watching you from the other side, or mark your mirrors, or lock your doors, all these kinds of things.
Superstition.
Yeah. And so like definitely it's most likely it's you, it's not it. But I wouldn't be afraid of yourself. I would definitely understand yourself with this.
Exactly. And as we were stating before, there's nothing magical about the board itself. It is literally just a piece of cardboard with a wooden planchette. It's who uses the board that calls forth whatever it is that you call forth, whether it be something or nothing. Either way, it's not the board, it's the person.
Yeah, I mean, and lots of people that have frequent experiences and stuff. I don't know. I guess I've had a lot of experiences. I don't consider myself to be in tune with anything in particular. I'm just highly observant. But yeah, I don't know. If you have any more encounters, definitely come back and let us know about it. And we really appreciate you coming up. And yeah, appreciate it
I
very
have,
much.
yeah, actually, just one more, but this isn't like a paranormal one. This is one about like I don't want to say I guess it's not really like a UFO thing, but it's more of like um I guess an alien. But so I think I told you that I used to go up to Maine every summer as a kid. up until like college, and so I went up there one random weekend because I had to get the house ready for the summer. So, and I knew the TV was broken, so it was like an old TV, and like so we had to get it fixed for at the time there wasn't like Best Buy or anything. It was this was like the 90s, so it was like Sears was still in the picture, and like so I called Sears, like, and it's up in Maine, so everything up in Maine takes like just to get to someone's house takes like an hour. So so I'm at the house, and it's on a lake, so it's very secluded, and so I'm there, and I brought one of my friends, my friend Steve from high school, and so we're up there, and we're waiting for the Sears repairman to come, and so finally he gets there around like 12 o'clock, and in the afternoon, and um, so he comes in, and it's like he totally looks like he looked like you ever see Cheers? He was like the postman guy. He was like a frumpy, fun looking guy, and so he comes in, he starts repairing the TV. Me and my friend are just like in the kitchen just talking, and so he's working. He's like, oh, I got to go up to my van and get some other parts. So he goes up to his van, gets some more parts, comes back down, and so it's like I think he fixed it. Yeah, he must have fixed it. So I was like, all right. I was like, well, can now it was time to like sign the bill and pay him back. And so I go all the way up the driveway. It was very like the driveway was very steep because it went down to the water to the lake. So and his van was all the way parked up at the. We had like two driveways, one down near the house and one all the way up there. So that's where he parked because all the cars were down. But anyway, so I followed him up to his van, and I was like, "Oh, thanks. Now I can watch the X." And so I'm just joking around with him, and I said, "Oh, thank you so much. Now I can watch the X Files this weekend." And so he turned to me and my friend, and he goes, "I'll never forget this." He turns around, he goes, "You're a believer of that show too." And I was like, "What?" I was like, "What?" I was like, "No, I'm just kidding. I really don't watch the X Files." He's like, "Oh," he's like, "You don't believe in, uh, you know, like the paranormal or aliens?" Or and I was like, I was like, I really only kind of believe what I see, and he's like he's like, "Let me show you something I have in my van," and I was like, "Oh my god." I was like, "What did I get myself into again?" And so I'm like, "This is too good." And so I'm with my friend Steve, and Steve's like a pretty big guy. We both um, played football together, so we're like, if anything happens here, we're pretty confident we could take him. And so so we go up to his van, and it's like a Sears robot van, like a like not like a big truck, but like like a regular van. So he opens up the back, and he's like, we can hear him like fumbling through like tools and like equipment. And so finally he comes out, and he has like this how do I describe it? He has like a little photo album, and so he takes it out, and he's like, he says to me and Steve, he says, um, "Now I've only showed three people this picture, and what you see I can explain, but you know, just just take a look, and don't say anything at first, but just look at it." And so he opens up the photo album, and there's this picture, and this is like, of course, before the time of like iPhones and everything. So it's like, when you have, you take pictures, and it's on the film, and you got to take it to like Photomat, and it takes like 3 days to get your pictures back, and you never know if they come out. So it was a very strange picture. It was a picture of, like, you could tell it was like someone sitting in like some sort of a boat, where it's a picture of like the shoreline, but they're only about maybe like let's say about maybe like 10 feet away from the shore. And so above the water, you could see like a person's figure spinning. Like it was definitely a person, but they were like maybe like a foot and a half off of the water, and you could see the water like almost rippling, and there was a reflection on the water too. But it was almost like, I don't know if you've ever seen like Star Trek when they like teleport somewhere and they spin. It was kind of like that. And so this guy goes on to tell me that he was fishing with his friend, and out of nowhere he said there was this object floating over the water, and they looked at it, and they looked at each other, and then and he said it was a person. He said or an alien or whatever it was, and he said they both noticed each other, and after the whatever it was saw them looking at him, it started spinning and and just disappeared, like dissolved in thin air, and he was able to take a picture of it. And I was I'm a graphic design I'm a graphic designer, so I know all about like Photoshop and things like that. So I was really like scrutinizing the picture. This guy didn't mess around with the picture. There was no like Photoshop at that time. There was no like Adobe, there were no like desktop publishing programs to like fool around with a picture like this. So I mean, it was. I took the picture out. I looked at the back. It was all legit, and I was like, "Holy cow, this guy!" So, so I look at him again. I'm like, I'm like, this is. I was like, what am I looking at here? And he told me, he's like this figure was floating above the water, and when it noticed us, it you know I guess got startled and just like spun, and like the photographs of like yesteryear were like when like a light is on, it kind of like slurs around like whatever path it takes. So that's kind of like what you saw there. So that's why I kind of look like like what you would see in like Star Trek when they like um forgot the word, when they transport somewhere. So it kind of looked like that, but it was a little more spooky. It looked like someone like in a white, I want to say like a white bodysuit, and you couldn't see their face, and kind of like just spinning, like a figure skater, like spinning in a circle. Like if you took a picture with a long exposure, kind of looked like that, but with like rays of light around it. And there was no way this guy could have made this up. I mean, he was, a Sears Roebuck repairman, and I just don't understand how it had this. And so we go on talking, and I'm like, wow. I was like, have you ever seen anything else? And he's like, yeah. He's like, it's known, like, um, all of the people in Maine go to this one spot in like in Sugarloaf Mountain up in Maine, and he's like, we go there, and he's like, if you look at a star for like 5 minutes, he's like, you're guaranteed to see like some object shooting around in the sky. And so he goes on to tell us like the spots of like where to go to see like uh UFOs and stuff like that. But I'll never forget the time, like he's like, hey, come to the back of my van, and he shows us this picture. It was the freakiest thing in the world. And and I wanted to not believe him, but the picture was like completely legit, and it was before the time of like all this like desktop publishing stuff. And so I'm still caught between like was he lying, or was I don't think he set this up, obviously, because he never thought I would ask about the X Files or whatever. It was just such a coincidence that we like ran into each other. So it was that was like that's I think that's my last story. So that's what
Alrighty, well, we
yeah.
really appreciate you, and like I said, hopefully you hang out here with us, and yeah, we appreciate it.
Yeah, so that's my alien story. If anyone has an alien story, I'm game.
Yeah, we've actually got somebody in the box that's got an alien story. They said in the
Sweet. Okay.
comments.
Okay. I'm gonna shut up.
Hopefully, yeah,
Okay.
he should still be there. But
All right.
we
Thanks.
appreciate you though. All right, let's get. Ooh, guys, we're backed up. Oh, we lost a bunch of people. Okay.
Patient.
Hang on there, guys. Don't drop out of the box just yet.
Stay here, please.
And we are not stopping.
Hello,
Hello?
Jonathan. Are you with us?
Oh.
Sort of. There's a little bit of noise.
Hello, can you hear me? Hello?
We can barely hear you.
I'm sorry, I don't know what's going on.
Oh, I think we can now.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, this is my very first time, so I'm nervous.
That's okay. Don't be.
Yeah, don't be.
We just hang out and have a good time up here. There's nothing to be nervous about.
Yeah, I've been listening to everybody's stories. It's pretty interesting. I love paranormal stuff. I love anything like that. I've always have. But I had two little short stories I wanted to share. One of them was back in 1976. I was 6 years old, and this is, I guess you could say it was a UFO story. We had a carport, and it was like a ranch style kind of house. If anybody knows kind of like what ranch styles are, it had a carport on the end of it, and we never parked our cars in there, but we always sat out there and had a little thing to build a fire with, and we had wood stacked out there. And on the end of the house, it was open, but it had a roof and everything on it. But my parents always sat out there. And then one evening, about, I don't know, 9 o'clock, it was after dark. This real bright red light came down, and it came in between our house and the neighbor's house. And I remember it because it was so bright, I had to squint my eyes and look away from it. And, this was in 1976, so it wasn't a drone, and it wasn't like anything remote control or anything. But I didn't really get a look at it. It was just so bright, and it was red, and it came down, and it was in between the houses, and it came all the way down to almost to the ground. And then it shot off down the front yard and went up over the trees across the street and disappeared. And my parents was like, wow, what was that? And, I just always thought about that. And what was that? What could that have been?
Yeah, that definitely sounds like UFO activity for sure.
Yeah, and I've never seen anything since UFO. Like I said, I've always want to, always look, but I've just never seen anything. But that's always fascinated me, and I've just always wondered what it could have been.
Yeah.
I know that like, up here in Washington State, I think it's heading towards the eastern side of it, but we have Isetti Ranch. I don't know if you're familiar with Isetti Ranch, but it's supposed to be a very active site for UFO activity. It's also called Gilliland Ranch, but most people know it as Isetti Ranch.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I've never heard of it. Anyway, and then I had one other story. This is paranormal, and this one it really stuck with me. And I've talked to my wife about it, but I've really never told anybody else about it. But when I was a child growing up, and after I got tucked into my bed every night, something would always sit down on the end of my bed, like where my feet were. And I felt it every night. You could feel it set down on the bed. And it was like you could even see the indentions in the bed where they were sitting. And this went on for years. And it was while I was a child growing up. And, my papa passed away in that house. And later on down the road, I just always assumed that maybe it was my papa kind of looking out for me at night while I was sleeping, or protecting me. I don't know. Because I never really felt like it was anything bad. It never done anything bad. It was just the same thing every night. It sat down on the end of my bed where my feet were, and like it was just sitting there watching me sleep or something. And that went on for years. And, I just always had them dreams there. That was my childhood home where I grew up. I don't live there anymore, but later on, as I got older, I always had them dreams where, you're paralyzed and you're kind of in between. And I always felt like I heard something behind me or felt something behind me, but I never could turn around and look and see what it was. And that went on a lot. That happened to me a lot. And the only bad thing I ever experienced was I was laying in bed one night going to sleep, and something behind me got right up in my ear and went, "Hey," real loud. And it sounded really kind of evil. That's the only bad thing I ever experienced there. But I just wanted to share that, and thank you for letting me tell it. I guess that's the only two little stories I got. But I'm just like I said, I love anything paranormal, cryptid. I'm so fascinated with stuff like that. But I listen to you guys every night. But thank you for letting me tell them little stories. But what do you think about? What do you think about that? The last story where somebody was sitting on the end of my bed every night. Do you think that was like maybe my papa looking out for me or something while I slept?
I mean, yeah, I guess so. We hear a lot of stories similar to that, and that's, who was it? Somebody the other night said, like, I think it was Lodge Tales. He said, like, however you interpret it, that's how it is. So if you had a feeling, that that's what it was, then you're probably right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to share that, and thank you for letting me do it, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we appreciate you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very cool. Everybody tap screen, send some hearts. That's busy tonight. Hot dog.
Yeah.
Tracy has been waiting patiently. Hopefully she's still with us.
Oh, she vanished.
Oh, Tracy's gone. Tracy, if you're out there, feel free to come back.
Everyone,
Jump back in the
request, please. We want to hear your stories.
Let's see, I'm trying to remember who was next.
It's Werewolf.
Oh, hello, Werewolf.
Oh my goodness, it's the Boo Crew extended edition. All right. So years ago when I was living in Boston, I went into this corner store, and when I walked in, excuse me, I looked to the right, and the person working there, the clerk behind the counter, was this Indian woman in like her 30s. And then she's sitting like on a stool, and then standing right next to her is this older Indian woman, and she's dressed very, very loud. She's wearing this like bright orange sari, which is like, like the Indian formal wear, like a really nice dress, and it has like this gold stitching on it, and she's wearing this gold crown that looks like a sun. It has like spikes, like a crown. And I remember I kind of chuckled to myself. I was like, whoa, someone really got dressed up to come to work today. So I went and I got like a drink, and I put it on the counter. I was like, excuse me. I said, do either of you know where the closest T stop is? That's like what they call the train system in Boston. And so I'm looking at them from like one to the other, and the younger one is like scowling at me. She's giving me like a dirty look. And then the older woman is just kind of looks confused. And then the younger woman says, why did you ask if either of you? And I was like, oh, well, I don't want to assume like either of you could answer that question for me. I don't want to assume, who's working or whatever. And then I'm like looking back and forth at the two women. And then the younger one says, I'm the only one here. Are you crazy or something? And so I'm looking at the older woman, and I'm like, wait, you don't see this person right here? And then she goes, "Are you crazy?" And I go, "You don't see this woman right here. She's wearing like an orange sari with like gold stitching on it. She's standing right here." And then the younger woman gasps. And I go, "She's right here. Like I could reach across," and I like reach across the counter like I'm going to touch her. And then the older woman gasps and she moves away from me. And then the younger woman says, "Wait." And then she pulls a photograph from it's like taped on the wall, but it's like from the customer side, you wouldn't be able to see it. But like from their side, the worker side, it's taped like on the wall. And she takes this photograph and she goes, "Is it her?" And she shows me a picture. And I go, "Yes, it's her." And she's wearing the same dress, but her hair's different. She's wearing like a crown. She has like a crown. It looks like a sun. And this woman starts freaking out. She starts crying. And I go, "Who is that?" And she goes, "That's my mom." And I go, "Oh my, she's right here." I go, and she there's like a back room behind the counter. And she like when I almost tried to touch her, she went into the back room, but I can still see her. And I go, "She's right there. She's in like that back room back there." And then she goes, "Where? Where?" And she's looking. And then she's like talking to her mom, but like in some language that I don't speak. And then I go, "Does she speak English?" And then she goes, "She's dead." And I go, "I know, but like, did she speak English when she was alive?" And then she goes, "No." And I go, "Can you tell her that like, I don't mean her any harm. And like, I can like talk to her. I can see her like to come out here." And so the woman starts like, talking to her mom in like the language. And she's like begging. It's like, it's very sad. She's like pleading and begging. And so I can see this person, or like, now I realize that it's like a ghost. And she looks scared and she's like peeking out at me. I can only see like half of her face, like from behind the door. And my heart is racing at this point. And I'm like, "Hi," I go, "Come here, like, let's talk. I can talk. I don't mean you any harm, blah, blah, blah." Of course, she can't understand me, but her daughter's like talking to her. So she comes out and she looks at me and she looks nervous, but she like kind of smiles at me and she's looking at her daughter. And then I go, "She's right here." And then the daughter's saying, "Where? I don't see her. I don't see her." And I go, "Well, I can see her. She's right here." And I go, Ask her something that only she would know." So she asks a question and I don't even know what she's asking because I don't speak that language. And then the mom like answers something and it's very short. It sounded like a name to me, like Priyanka or something like that. So I say, "Priyanka." And the woman starts like bawling, like she falls down on her knees. She's like, going crazy. And then, I tell her to like, I go, "If you want to like say something to her, she's like right here. She can like hear you." And she goes, "I can't see her." And I go, "I know, but she's here. She can like see you. She can hear you." So she starts like saying all the stuff. And I don't, once again, don't know what she's saying. And then the mom starts talking, but she's talking like really fast. And once again, I don't speak the language. So I go, "Whoa, whoa, whoa." I go, "Tell her that like, I don't speak the language. Like I can repeat what she's saying, but like, I don't speak the language. I'm just going to have to go slow and like do it in little pieces." So the mom says that, or sorry, the daughter says that to the mom. And then the mom kind of smiles and she looks at me and she changed her answer because I mean, I don't speak the language, but like what she said was like much shorter and just sounded totally different. And so she says like in little pieces, she says like, blah, 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 blah. And I just repeat it because once again, I don't speak the language and I'm repeating it in little chunks. And when I finish it, the daughter once again is like crying. She's on her knees. She gets up and she runs from behind the counter and she hugs me. And it's like a tight hug. Like, and I knew that obviously that hug was like meant for her mom. And the mom comes over and she like wraps her arms around us. And I'd be lying if I said I could feel it, but I was like, I could see it, right? I'm like, she's here, she's hugging us. And so she's bawling in my ear. She's hugging me like really super tight. And we're hugging for like a long time and we're kind of like rocking back and forth, standing there in the middle of the store. And then at a certain point, I kind of open my eyes or look around and I cannot see the mom anymore. And I go, "Wait, where is she?" I go, I don't see her. So I look around and I go, "Yeah, she's gone." And the woman was like, still crying. And I kind of consoled her. And then she explained some things to me. And she said that the orange dress she was wearing, that was like her go-to favorite formal wear that she wore to like all the fancy events. And so that was the dress that they buried her in. And that also the crown she was wearing, the sun thing, they said that they got that because she was like the matriarch of the family. So when they buried her, they wanted her to be wearing a crown. So that was like the crown that she was wearing when they buried her. And then she said that the question that she asked her was, she asked, what was the name of my childhood best friend? And then she, knew it. And then the last thing that she told her, she didn't tell me exactly what she had said to her mom, but the last words that the mom said to her were basically, "You'll be okay. I love you too." So that was very sweet, obviously. And that's definitely like, this is one of the those stories where like I really felt like I was using it to help someone, you know what I mean? Like I was glad that I was actually able to help someone and like just have that conversation, even though I didn't speak the language even, but I feel like that made it even more real for her, because it's like, oh yeah, how else would this person know? And so she was obviously like very, very grateful to me, and she gave me a free drink, and she told me that I could have anything in the store. I was like, oh no, I don't need anything. But I was like, you know what? I will get a Rice Krispie treat. So I got some free snacks for my service for that one.
That was very nice of you. That was very touching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, gang.
Me though.
Well, yeah,
Because
very
I know the language.
What's that?
I'm glad it wasn't me. I know the language. My ears would be probably bleeding at that time.
Well, yeah, super busy night tonight, so go ahead and drop me.
All right, Werewolf. We always appreciate you. You always have the best stories.
Oh, thanks, gang.
Thanks for coming up.
All right, see ya.
Thank you.
We love Werewolf around here.
We do.
The howling good story.
Howling good,
Oh my
yeah. Hello, welcome.
Hi. That was a really compelling story. That was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
The past couple, I've been on for maybe like 15 or maybe 20 minutes, but like all the guests you bring up, I'm just like, wow, this is like very compelling stuff. I did want to bring up something about Ouija boards. So, I mean, if that's cool.
Yeah, we talk about Ouija boards all the time.
So when I was like 11, my mom was like, nope, we don't have those in our house. We're not doing that. And then my friend Justin gave me one for my birthday. And it was the one that was patented in like the early 1900s. I forget what that brand is called, but anyway. So me and my friend, and of course her name is Treasure, we're playing with it, and it's the first time I'm actually playing with it. And we're in a really old house that I feel like my papa, like one of the guys said, but we call him Pop-Pop, kind of haunted, but like in a non-creepy way. And we're playing with it, and all of a sudden, like in my basement, which nobody goes down to except for to do laundry, there's like an old school radio down there, and it just starts blasting the oldies. And it is like, and like back then, this is the 90s, so like the oldies really is the old, it's like 60s music, or even 50s. And that was just really weird. And then I had forgotten about my Ouija board for a long time. And when I was in high school, I begged my dad to get me an old car, and he got us like a 74 Dodge Dart because I needed something that looked cool. Anyway, but for whatever reason, the Ouija board was in the trunk of the car. And my first major accident, that was in there, and like I totally got spun around like 180 on the highway. And luckily no other cars were involved, but it was like a hydroplane situation. So I'm facing the wrong way on the highway. And then the car was totaled, and I was like looking through everything, and I was like, what the hell? That Ouija board was in the trunk when this whole thing happened. Like that just felt really weird to me because, and the planchette was like right side up. So like I don't know if it's just like conjuring stuff the whole time. And I'm not sure I believe in all that. But the other thing I wanted to say about Ouija boards real quick, and I want to talk about other stuff, but I heard that homemade ones were better, especially if you put them in a circle, like all the letters in a circle, because there's less chance of something escaping. Whereas, like what's it called, Milton Brothers or whatever it's called, like
Bradley.
yeah, the way that they put it is like more open ended. And again, I'm not even sure, I'm like on the fence. Like I'm a skeptic, but I love all the stories and I'm also a believer. So I just wanted to throw that out there about Ouija boards and see what you guys thought about that.
I mean, I think like the Ouija boards that we see on TV and a lot of people that are like mainstream Ouija boards, like I don't know, I got one that was a gag gift. It was a gag gift, and it was like made of glass and stuff. It looks really nice. It's fun. But like you can go to Target and get one.
Right.
Ancestors and it's not just the Ouija board, but it's like different in many cultures. There was always a different way of having like a spirit board. Some cultures used to make it on the earth, if I may. Like they would have the circle, and within it they would have runes or something that would compel people to like they would do the divination like that. So it's evolved a lot to be like interesting like that with the square board. But you're right, there are certain like patterns as to where it makes it more controllable. But again, like it always goes down to you. I do not know what that noise is, but I'm done.
Yeah, if it's me, I'm sorry. But I do want to talk more about everything that you guys want to talk about, because I think this is really interesting, from sleep paralysis to Ouija to UFOs, which I don't necessarily tie into aliens just because I don't have any findings that both are connected. Like I'm more into the interdimensional things, if you will. But yeah, I want to add more, but I also don't want to monologue. So, like, if I could stay up and just like be a part of the conversation, I'd appreciate it. But if you guys want more stories, I've got them. But I'm here to like be a part of the group.
Okay, yeah, we appreciate that. Yeah, for sure. If you want to share a story, whatever you want to do. We got one more person in the box right now. Do you care if I go ahead and let them up and then we'll see what they got?
Let's do it.
All right.
And what shall I call you, Paranormal?
My name's Sarah.
Oh, no way. Guess who's also a Sarah?
Hello, guest. Welcome.
Hey, welcome. How are y'all?
We're good. How are you?
Pretty good. Yeah, I just want to share a couple stories of I currently live in a old Victorian mansion. It was built in 1900, so it was like the last year. And when I first opened it in the Hollywood area, we decided to do a bed and breakfast because we had restored it to all Victorian furniture and stuff, and you don't really know if you've had attached spirits or entities that come with a lot of the furnishing because you don't know where they came from. A lot of it came from Europe and was sold here in the Southern California area. So anyway, we restored all three levels of the. It's kind of a Queen Anne mixed architect, and so on the third floor, my cousin would stay, and he had a lot of CDs and stuff from back in the '90s, and he had a friend into Los Angeles to check out all the Hollywood sites and stuff, and we invited him over to play the CDs that we had from back when we were in school. So we went up to the third floor. My cousin didn't stay here a lot, but when he would come, that was his area. So his friend came over and we all went up, and he was sitting on the bed, and my cousin was pulling the CDs out, playing them. And next thing you know, we noticed he talking, and he really strange, and he looked really flush in the face, and we're like, "Are you okay?" And he's like, "You don't see that?" And we're like, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "You don't see those two kids sitting right beside me?" And we're like, "No. What do you mean?" He just got up, ran down both flights of stairs, and left, and eventually called us later. But it was a really strange thing, because during the time we were renovating and stuff, different things, but I never actually felt a bad spirit. And when we initially bought the place, the realtor never said that it was haunted, because that was the first thing out of our mouth, because it has that image. And he's like, "No, there's no ghost." And of course, you never know if they say that just to sell it. So during the time of having different guests stay at the bed and breakfast, I had one other guy said that a little girl, and this was on the second floor, he said that he was here maybe 2 or 3 nights, and he said that the little girl would come into his room and sit down on the bed beside him, and he wasn't spooked about it, but he just, was a little out. And then there was one other time on the first floor, a guest was staying in our large French room. We had it all done with Louis the 15th decor, and she had plugged in her phone beside her bed on the nightstand. And right before they fell asleep, all of a sudden her phone just started flashing and like taking pictures. And she wasn't touching it. Her husband was on the other side. Obviously, he wasn't touching it. And the next morning, when I was serving breakfast, she said, "I got something to show you." And I thought, what is it, a spider or something in the room? And she showed me her phone, and what it had done, it was photographing the ceiling, obviously facing upward. So there's about 10 to 15 pictures of a hole in my ceiling, which I didn't obviously have a hole there. And I remember when we put the new drywall up and took the plaster off, there was never any hole anywhere. So it was a really strange, it was like a hidden door that was photographed, but yet when you walked in, and you just saw a plain white ceiling. So it was just a few odd and then weird stuff that happened. But I personally never really saw anything, and I still never have. And I've been here going on 17 years. So I would have thought during the time of the renovation, we would have stirred up some bad feelings. But I think the spirits feel like that I'm the caretaker and I really love the place, so they don't bother me. But I just wanted to come on and share a couple strange stories that I've been in. But other than that, I really never hear or see anything.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And I love
Yeah.
old houses like that too. So to me, that sounds like the most exciting thing ever.
Yeah, like as soon as people come in, they always say it looks like the Disney's haunted house, because there's antique lighting on the steps, on the pillars, and the posts going upward. And but a lot of people, either they're creeped out or they really think it's beautiful. And so you get mixes of people's opinions. But the first thing out of their mouth is it haunted? And I always tell them not really, but we do have some strange things. But I always thought that, I was going to see something over the years, or something would appear to me in it. And I still get creeped out by the third floor. And, but I've been waiting, but I don't think too much about it. I feel like the house has good energy, but I do feel like, probably during the Victorian era, when kids were bad, or when they weren't like normal, maybe have challenges, as you would say today. But a lot of times they would put the Victorian era, they would put the kids up on the third floor or the attic of the home to keep them away from guests, because back then a lot of guests would visit people's homes. So I'm thinking the two children that our friends saw that we didn't see, I think and the guy on the second floor staying, I think they saw the children from the Victorian era, because they said they were dressed in period clothing.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Yeah. But it's great to have an old home. It's always a lot of work, but they're never dull or boring. But I just wanted to come on and share a couple experience with you guys. So, and I really love the
Yeah.
backdrop that you have on your channel. It's pretty cool.
Thank you. Yeah, we appreciate you sharing the stories. That's really cool. And hopefully you'll hang out with us. And we do this every Sunday and Monday. So
Oh yeah, it's
you'll
the
have to
first time I
come
come
and.
across you guys. I'm always looking for something in this genre, but I've never seen you on before.
Mhm. Well, I'm glad you found me tonight.
All
It
right.
was
Well,
meant
it's
to
nice
be.
talking to you, but I'm definitely gonna hang on the channel somewhere and listen to more stories. Thanks for letting me
Awesome.
tell my story.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing.
Okay.
Very cool. All right, guys, tap the screen. Send some hearts. We've got about a little less than 30 minutes of the show left tonight. We are on a roll. We've had a pretty busy night tonight.
It flew by.
Hopping, yeah.
Yeah.
I was wondering if any of you all wanted to talk a little bit more about sleep paralysis. Yes, I've had like an extensive experience with it. And I do think that there is like a way to break through the scary parts of it. But I also think it's weird that there's like this universal imagery that a lot of us have where it is like initially some sort of scary thing in the corner coming at us and stuff like that. But
Night hag.
what's that?
The night hag. Night hag
Right.
syndrome. Yeah.
And so I also think that some people who think they experience aliens or demons or night hags, like I think it's like kind of our own forming of what this like universal thing is. But like I've broken through it because I've told the thing, do your worst. And now I'm having sleep paralysis where I'm like kind of dictating what will happen. And again, I can't move, I can't do anything, but I'm like, I don't want to see the scary shit, dude. Like, try your best. And like, I don't know, I feel like there's this mental gymnastics that goes on, and it can break through to it not being as scary.
That is true. There are like mentality is a lot that goes into there. You're trying to be brave, which is a good thing. Now, professionally, in my profession, sleep paralysis. On the other medical side, it's a possibility of some sort of physiological and neurological issues. However, there isn't a lot of imagery or experiences like consecutively involved because it can happen at any moment of your rest, including a nap. And there are physical issues involved. However, I feel that yeah, like if you have the courage, you're working around your fear. It could be like for a lot of people, it's like a borderline between um, getting into the astral realm and your own personal dream state. So it's like you're there and you're not there at the same time.
Um, is your name Allie or Ally or
Ali, yeah.
Allie? Okay, so I appreciate everything you're saying because there's a couple things unpacked there. Like I'm wondering why do I often I have sleep paralysis, but I also more likely lucid dream a lot, and it's that in and of itself is like a very weird place to be. Just because like I'm controlling the dream and like I know I'm in it, and I'm like what's like why is this even occurring, and I don't get restful sleep a lot because it's either sleep paralysis or the lucid dreaming. You know, I don't get deep sleep, if you understand what I'm saying. Like, I don't get the lights out type of sleep. So, but I would say, um, and I don't know if this has anything to do with it, but I am a Pisces. So I'm one of these people where I'm like, all right, let's just keep challenging it. Let's go into it. Let's, like really get into it. But it's weird.
Yeah, that also, I know it's taxing even as experience that some people, maybe even my own mentors, um, I like even not just the sleep paralysis thing, like the lucid dreaming. I never experienced sleep paralysis. I've always been walking out of my body. But it's taxing. It's very taxing depending on if you're having a conversation with an ancestor somehow. I always say a few minutes can be a few days. And it's very, very taxing on the mind. Your body may feel rested, but if your mind doesn't feel rested, it's going to cause some physiological issues. You may be very sick later on. My advice would be try to knock out. I have done this to where I would, brew some potion teas to like knock myself out. I have done some grounding tools, salt circles, and a lot of things to just chain me to my bed to where I don't want to experience anything. I don't want to hear anyone's voice. I'm sorry, but I'm cutting myself off from all sorts of mundane and spiritual things. And because it's for my own, gaining of my own energy back, because sleep is also, as it's supposed to be, a process to where your cells are healing and everything. You want to put on some binaural beats and just knock out. You may also want to go to your doctor and ask them if since you're having certain issues, you don't have to go into great details, but you can. If you're having certain issues, maybe they can, steer you towards what kind of, medication you can take that's very light so you can go to sleep.
Thank you, Allie. I am also somebody with chronic illness, so of course that plays into a factor. But I also, you had touched upon astral projection, and I've done that a couple times, and it has been very. So when I was challenging the sleep paralysis, that's when I went into astral projection because I told the, quote unquote scary thing, I was like, do your worst. And I felt it pull my essence out of my body, and I could see myself on my bed. And I'm like dangling upside down, and I'm like, okay, what is the world made of? So, like, I think it's cool and interesting. And I do understand how it is scary, but at the same time, I don't know. Socrates, as in Socrates, had said something a long time ago about how, like, you don't unalive in a dream truly because we've never experienced that except for once. So I feel like that's a really interesting thing that I take into the dream state where I'm like, yes, I can be like stabbed or something, but like I'm not actually going to the other realm or the nothingness because I don't know what that's like yet. So, and I know I'm just like throwing stuff around, but I think all of you all have really interesting opinions about this, and I'd love to hear them.
Yeah. Ali, have you ever had sleep paralysis?
I can't remember. I don't think so. Maybe when I was very little. But I mean, gosh, I've always just remembered, like, of in my recent years, I've always remembered. I mean, what patients describe as sleep paralysis and what people over here are describing sleep paralysis to be. I personally don't remember experiencing it. I've always seen myself in a dream state. I'm like, oh, but when I see myself in the bed sleeping in a weird position or drooling on the whatever on the pillow, that's when I know that, oh, okay, I'm like having an outer body experience, and that's about
Ooh.
it.
You know what? We'll come back to that because that's a rabbit hole. Sir, do we have a guest?
Yeah, we do have some guests collecting in the box. I'm going to go ahead and bring somebody up.
Come on down.
We need theme song music.
Yeah, no.
Hello, welcome.
Hey, you guys. Like, okay, so, like, the first few times that I had to actually exit it out was because of phone call for my husband because he's out of town, and I just want to apologize to begin with that, like, of how many times I had to request. But, like,
oh, no, you're fine. That's fine.
But for, like, certain things that some certain people have talked about that, like, I actually, like, relate to, that's like reoccurring dreams and people that you have dreamt about or have seen. I don't even know where to begin with that because, like, I relate to them with that 100%, and some people think I'm crazy for it.
In order to have any form of spirituality, we have to all be a bit slightly crazy, so you're good.
Well, so, like, reoccurring dreams of, like, the things that I've had was, like, with completely different people that I have never met, and they're reoccurring. It's just kind of like that one movie with, I just saw it just yesterday, and I can't remember the actor's name. It's like the reoccurring dream person. It's almost something like similar to that. But like I've had things since I was a kid that I've dreamt about up until this day, and just listening to you guys, I'm just like, oh my god, I've dealt with that too.
Queen, can I ask you, like, what are some of the, like, recurring dream, like, imagery?
Okay, so one of them that I've had since I was a kid. So before I even knew what tornadoes were, so I've had this like reoccurring tornado that talks. I know it sounds stupid and crazy, okay, but like it's always talked to me about certain things.
Queen, when we talk about dreams, we don't ever have to say stupid or crazy because, like, but you know, like, it's a dream, like, and I totally had the tornado dreams too. So, like, you get it, Queen. Like, don't worry about that. Don't worry about qualifiers.
So it always tell me of like certain things that I was like supposed to do, of like going hiding, and like certain things to watch out for certain people or certain entities. I don't know. Like I don't know how to really explain it. I know that I don't sound crazy on this page talking about it because like I know that some certain people have experienced it with things they can't explain. I just don't know. Okay.
Queen, can I tell you this? So, like, I have a sister, and she and I are less than a year older than each other, or like apart from each other. Anyway, I have these tornado and tsunami dreams, and it's like end of the world, but like she and I always find the most ridiculous way to survive it. We're like, oh, just go under a bridge, and that's what we do. But then I have these other end of the world dreams, and something's exploding in space, and I'm like, ah, fuck.
Okay, no. Actually, that's how I've always felt too in my dreams too. Like those type of things too, and they would be telling me like, "Hey, go talk to these people," because they know what they're talking about. but then you don't ever get to that point because then you wake up and you're just like, who? I don't know. I might be crazy. I don't know.
Aforementioned, for anybody that is spiritual, the idea of a belief in something higher than ourselves, we all got to be a little bit bonkers. So you're good.
But also too, like I've also jumped about not only the tornadoes, but also like the spiritual river people that is like a folklore up here in Alaska. It's just like a whole nother thing. And I like, so I'm Alaska Native, okay, and I've always felt super connected to my people. Even though I'm mostly white, but there's still that percentage of me that is super close to them because I've always felt like I've been more native than anything else, you know. And they've always told me things of just like like things that are gonna happen that never happens. I don't even know. I don't even remember what happens after I wake up. And that's always makes me question myself, like, am I crazy? You know?
Queen, have you ever had like at least a notepad next to you? Like
I don't, but I do have one on my phone, but like as soon as I wake up, because I have 3 kids, I don't remember things because like my first immediate thing is taking care of my kids
for sure,
myself. So
for sure. And
like,
I would, even if it's like from the Dollar Tree, I would get like a little notepad and I just like scribble.
Up here. We don't have a Dollar Tree
Oh,
up here.
some sort of equivalent where it's just like you don't have to make it like a journal or something that's like bedazzled. It's just something where it's like a notepad where like for at least for me, I just scribble down everything that I remember right away because like it's funny how like I won't remember it unless I do it right away. And then I'll look back on this stuff and I'm like, oh, visually, like I really know what I was thinking and dreaming and stuff like that because I scribble down, even if it's just like bullet points of like
you actually want to know something crazy. So the last thing that I almost wrote down was before or after Thanksgiving last year, my second oldest brother who had passed away. I'm the last living oldest sibling in my family. I had a dream that something had happened. I don't remember what, but something had happened. And I was supposed to remember it the next day. That's all I remember. And I couldn't remember when I had woke up, like the second that I had woke up. I couldn't remember what it was. And my brother's mom had texted saying, you know, your brother had passed away. And I was just like, what was it? You know, like certain things that certain people say, like even when they pass away or in that spiritual realm. I don't know. I'm not trying to sound crazy because I keep trying to convince myself that I don't sound crazy, okay? I don't know. It was just hard just knowing at that time that I was dreaming that I'm the last living person of being the oldest sibling. And I think that's why I can't remember.
Hey, Queen, you got this. Like, you definitely got this. Like, And if it's something that's worth remembering, you'll dream about it again or re-remember it. Like it'll happen. I promise you that.
And that's what I also keep telling myself, like when I remember it, when I dream about it again, but then also at the same time I have that fear of not remembering when I wake up. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And do you nap at all? Probably not with your kiddos.
So one of them, he has to have naps at least once a day, but lately I've been finding myself a little bit too stressed out to be able to sleep until like later in the night, like, and I'm talking like 1 or 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning here. And like with some of the certain things that I do is that like I cannot talk to, well, it's not that I don't talk to anyone, but like when it comes to like a certain time of night when it gets dark, especially like with whistling, okay, whistling at night is a type of a really bad thing here for Alaskan natives. You're just bringing bad spirits and demons and whatever you want to call it for your sake. I go to sleep by myself when no one else is awake, when I feel comfortable finally. But with my kids, I feel like that I have to be awake to make sure that they're safe before I'm safe in this sleeping realm, dream thing, whatever. I don't know if that sounds crazy to anyone.
No? You Yeah, let's forget the C word.
Yeah, I never really had anyone for me to do that. Growing up, I've always been alone, but for my kids, I've always tried to do that for them because I don't want them to have bad dreams or anything that's absurd, you know? I don't know.
Queen, I think you're a very sweet person, and like if you need someone to reach out to, just reach out. Like I'll definitely be there as much as I can be because like I'm my own weirdo as well, but like I'm here to just like hear you out and just be like, hey, it's okay. Like, yeah.
And see, I don't have that too much, and especially the last time I was on this page before I realized what this page was before rejoining again, not too many people were able to answer my questions of the things that were going on paranormally wise. And like
Well, I think that we're all probably doing our best to seek answers, but at the same time, nobody is an expert, right?
yeah. No, which is totally fine, but
So I think that if we can find solace in like shared experiences and stuff like that, I think that's probably a good place to at least begin.
yeah,
To
especially because I don't want my kids experiencing the same things that I have of scary things like that they don't understand because they're all under the age of like 13. So like I don't know. I don't know.
Hey, Queen, you're seeking community, and I think you'll find community.
Well, I hope so.
For sure.
Take it day by day. You got this.
Say what? Whoever it was, they kind of broke out and I didn't hear what they said.
Oh, just take it day by day. You got this. You want to make sure that, your mundane world is set before diving too deep into the spiritual aspect of things. But you're not crazy. These things that you're talking about are quite valid, and you're not alone. A lot of people have experienced the same, like, or similar issues. So here, like, you would probably, listening to others, see, like, figuring out what's going on and what others have experienced, you might find answers to your own questions. It's just, it's going to be different. But the fact, when it comes to paranormal, spiritual stuff, like when it comes to extraterrestrials and stuff like that, what I have found is the collective information that you get, you kind of fit those individual pieces into your own puzzle, and
Well,
that gives you an answer.
not also that, but like the last thing that I have ever dealt with before, like having the last two of my kids, well, the last kid that I had was, I went to the grocery store, but I couldn't even get past 5 minutes of my house, and an hour had passed, type of deal. And I, like, emotionally have not really, I don't know, physically or mentally, I don't know what you want to call it, has not really have gone past of recovering from it, because, like, I used to live in North Dakota, in Artigard, and before you get to the highway, it was 5 minutes from my place, like exactly 5 minutes, and somehow I had passed an hour before I even got to the highway, and my husband was already asking me when I called him when I was getting back.
Sounds like a case of missing time.
And like I was looking at the time for, from when I had left the house, it was like, let's say 10 o'clock, okay, and it was 10:05 a.m. and he said that I was an hour gone already. I guess I just haven't really been able to recover from that, even though it's been years and years now.
Sarah, this seems very familiar.
Yeah, I actually just realized you were on here last week, weren't you?
Yes, I was, and I had
Yeah.
asked you the same thing
Yeah.
about the last few experiences that I had.
Yeah.
Oh, the one that I couldn't really figure it out, and then, like, were you the one that, with your older daughter?
Yes, no, my oldest daughter was in the passenger side when I was driving, and like I said, 5 minutes from my house to the highway, okay, because you had to go on dirt roads before you went onto the highway, like 2 different roads, and it took 5 minutes, and before I even got to the highway, my car started speeding up, and I couldn't hit the e-brake, I couldn't hit the brakes, I couldn't do anything, like my car kept speeding up, okay, before it stopped literally like 5 feet away from the highway. And then I had did a U-turn on the same street after being freaked out, because, like, who else wouldn't be freaked out about not being able to control the car, right? I had called my husband, and he was like, when are you gonna get back? And I was like, what do you mean? When do you mean that I'm gonna get back? And he was like, you've been gone for over an hour. And I was like, I haven't been gone for over an hour. I just literally just left.
Yeah, missing time, as Druid was saying. So, last time that I've heard the story as you were describing it, it really definitely didn't feel spiritual. It felt more like an interdimensional interference.
Extraterrestrial.
Extraterrestrial.
And also the crazy thing about it too, like the very, very next day, okay, the very next day I saw four red lights up in the sky. It didn't look like a drone. Okay, I know what a drone looks like, especially with lights for drones, okay? and it was like hovering in the same part of the sky when I was driving on the highway, because you had to get onto the highway before into town where I was living at the time. And it hovered for a little while, and then it just like completely disappeared out of the air, and I haven't had a problem since. So this was like 6 years ago, 7 years ago.
I wonder what would happen if you had went under hypnotherapy to recall that missing time.
You know how many people have asked me about that, and I'm just like, I don't know, because I don't want to scare myself at the same time.
Well,
Like,
hypnotherapy can do that. My experience with that is, do you have, like, I mean, I don't want to intrude too much, but the professional in me is telling you, is there a way that you can get counsel? The reason why I'm asking, letting you know about counseling is because you want to build up to the hypnotherapy, because
okay, so up here in Alaska, we don't have that type of thing. Yes, you do have that type of thing unless you're paying an extra amount of money. Yes, I'm Alaska Native, where they do pay for insurance and stuff, but not for those type of things. And I don't really have anyone to actually do that for me, because I've actually considered about it and I had looked it up. I just can't afford it.
I see. I hear you. I know it's a little difficult, but there's also, well, there's us. I don't know, but it'll take some time. But you can, you're welcome to message me and others, and kind of like get yourself into a, like, an emotional mode of courage, I would say. And Druid has a point, like, if you could go into hypnosis, but I want you to be prepared for that, you know?
Oh no, actually, I want to be able to figure it out, because like I've been questioning it ever since. Literally since I was about 5 years old, with all the other things that I've had experienced before the whole car thing in North Dakota. Like, I just want to know and actually have answers so that I can move forth with it.
Yeah, you might want to do some due diligence and find a hypnotherapist. My suggestion would be an LLC team. I know it's going to be out of pocket cost, um, but take your time and look for the right people who have enough experience under their belt with hypnotherapy, not just, anyone. You want the right licenses, you want years of experience. Like, I'm a physician and psychologist. Like, I don't even, I would love to, like, hey, hypnotherapy and stuff like that, but yeah, insurance ain't covering that. They barely cover mental health, and it's crazy. So
I'm actually very picky when it comes to stuff like that, because for me, if you're 15 or 20 years worth of experience, then that's when I know that I could actually trust you. Not to try to offend anybody about that, if they're under experienced before 20 years, but like at the same time, I feel more safer when it's like 20 years and over.
yeah, that would be a good choice to start. But I wouldn't want to go to someone who's too old, age-wise. You know what I mean? Like, there. I mean,
No, I
even
do
in the medical
understand.
community, there are some people, like, there's some doctors that will not believe in holistic healing, and there are many doctors about, like, in their early 30s, like my age, that will, like, believe in, hey, get yourself better whichever way possible best
This
fits
almost
you.
like literally reminds me of somebody that lives in Canada. Okay. I saw this like a few years ago, where it's very hard to actually get a hold of her in Canada, because you have to go through like these back roads, like scary kind of roads, kind of like a horror movies type of stuff. But like when you get to her place, she gives you, let's just say, X, okay, to help you heal and get through all this type of stuff. I just wish we had someone like that without that type of thing, to help people, you know?
You're talking about like Reiki, like almost spiritual healing?
Spiritual, physical, mentally, and emotional
So you're
healing.
talking like, but basically witches.
I guess if you want to call it that. I don't know.
Shaman? And you're like,
I mean, for most people call me pagan when I'm an atheist, okay? I don't really believe in the whole religion thing, to be honest, but I still like to learn things without harming them or making fun of them. I just love to learn.
Are you close with your tribe? Like, do you have elders that are shaman?
Most of them has passed.
Oh, because my suggestion would have been your tribe would be a great way to go to help you open up. There's more than just like hypnotherapy is like an internal medicine kind of a tool. But you can do what hypnotherapy has come from is actually these old world and old ways of getting or tapping into your subconscious. A lot of shamanic tribes have done that, and perhaps you may be able to reach out and help get some of that started with you.
I would, but a lot of them has passed, and I don't have any other people to go through with that. Since they had passed. So I'm kind of a loner at this point. Not only because I was adopted, but like I've also been quite frequently with my adoptive, well, not my adoptive, but like my biological family. There's not too many people left like that.
You could easily go online and start researching any folklore or anything like that that has been documented about your specific tribe. I mean, that's world of knowledge at our fingertips. You know.
Yeah, definitely. Hey guys, really quick. If anybody in the live wants to join our Discord, you can just subscribe to Sarah's channel, and just subscribe, and you can join us there on the Discord. We have a lot of fun on there. Also, guys, I hate to interrupt you guys. We're gonna need to kind of wrap it up here. We're kind of in overtime right now. We are gonna be live tomorrow, right, Sarah?
Yeah, we'll be back on tomorrow night, 11 p.m. Eastern. But yeah, we do usually shut it down at about 2. But if you guys have any stories that you want to share, feel free to come back tomorrow. Jump in the box. It's usually pretty well open from about 11 to 12. That's the best time to get in. So be sure you all come and get in early. Turn on post notifications on my channel. That will allow you to be informed when I go live. And be sure to follow me, follow Chris, check out Druid's channel. I don't know how many other content creators we have here, but yeah, I just want to throw that out there real quick because it is getting late and we do need to shut down for the night. So
What time is you guys? Because like up here in Alaska, it's 10 p.m.
Right now it is 2:15.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we appreciate you, Queen, coming on here and sharing all of that with us.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sarah, hostess. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Queen. Thank you, Allie. Thank you, Druid. Thank you, Cat Mama. Like you all been great. So thank you all so much.
Yeah, we appreciate you hanging out with us tonight. If you want to stop in tomorrow, other Sarah.
Yeah, absolutely.
All of you.
Yeah, come back and hang out with us. But guys, I think we're going to call it for the night because I do need to get to bed. Unfortunately, it's that time. But appreciate you all for coming. And
You're on that Beast Coast time, just like me. So let's go to bed.
yeah.
You all have a good night and a good rest.
Yeah, thank you so much, Queen, and you do as well.
I will try.
Blanco Phil. Yep.
Alrighty,
Good night,
guys.
Good night.
Have a good night.
Good night, everybody.